10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, what's happening? Wow, our window's all weird. You can't see Heather. That's cool.
That's okay.
So, hey, Shoky Reviews is here with us. We're here for an interview series live. Forgive us for the lateness because Heather decided to break her phone today, had to log into my phone, and it screwed everything up, and I've been losing my mind. So, Shoky Reviews, hello and welcome.
Hello.
This has been one of those things where we've been trying to connect with you for a long time, and finally it's here, because I remember way back when we connected with one of your pals, and now
Art.
Yeah, Art, and you were actually in the chat section. You had talked about coming on with us, so now you're finally here. So welcome, Shoky Reviews. Thank you for being here with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm glad we could work it out.
Well, we almost didn't. I don't know. When we connected on Skype to do this, I noticed behind you is like the most ridiculous setup ever. That's fucking awesome. What's happening back there? What is that?
Okay, so this is just my Gundam or Gunpla collection. So these are all model kits and stuff that I built, and it's the main draw to my channel for the most part. But yeah, I've got 9 DTOFs back here full to the brim. So
9
actually,
DTOFs. Holy crap.
Yeah, so all the way over there.
Wow.
And then my hand's gonna get in the way. All the way over there. And there's my review set and teasers for upcoming things.
Damn, that's a nice setup you got there.
Thank you, appreciate that. Hey, you guys have a really awesome set on your little review area with all the pops and everything behind you.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because
Thank you.
I want to go through and change everything up. It's been the same for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to look at what other people are doing and kind of get a gist on what I want to do. I like the DTOFs, but I've had DTOFs before, and they just, for me, what we do, it's just kind of big and bulky. If I had figures like that, I would probably use it. But for Funko Pops being in their boxes, it looked, I don't know, it looked like you're going to a comic book store or something. I don't know. It just didn't look that great.
No, I understand that too. Because I collected pops early on. Actually, I have some of my select ones still here. Because I figured that might come up since you guys are obviously fanatics. But for these, it really works. But then I also have my Billy shelves over here on the opposite wall with all my other stuff.
Oh, awesome.
So totally different type of display on that side.
Yeah.
Can I turn the camera enough? Here, let me see. Turn. So
oh, nice.
Wow.
I've got Power Rangers stuff there, Batman statues there, Transformers.
Oh my God! Look at that.
I can't turn too much further. You're gonna run into my light. But then on this side, Dragon Ball stuff like that, and then just whatever else. But yeah, no, I had to do something because DTOFs weren't cutting it, and I was out of space on this wall, and then my review setup and everything was over there. And then I started watching other collectors and reviewers who are displaying things totally differently, and I'm like, okay, IKEA is getting a lot of my money now.
Yeah.
I love your setup. It looks really good. Especially, it's hard to say. I don't know what angle I'd rather see. What's sitting behind you or what's sitting in front. I don't know. It looks great, though.
They're both nice.
Yeah, they are both nice. Well, so you used to collect Funko Pops. Why aren't you collecting them anymore?
It turned into a thing that I didn't know where it would go if I just kept going with it. We have actually literally right down the street right here. We have our local comic book store, but also half of their store dedicated to Pops. So like a super fanatic runs it,
Okay.
and that's where I was getting all the ones that I was collecting at the time. I think I had about 60 or so, and then I just realized I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I like them, but you know, when I was reviewing them and stuff, it just like nobody cared enough, and
Sure.
so I sold or traded off the ones that I didn't really feel like keeping, and then I kept like about 12 that really meant something to me. Nothing wrong with them. It's
So
just,
which ones did you keep?
They're not your thing. That's okay.
yeah. Okay, so like I said, I just have a few select ones here. So I have the GameStop exclusive Naruto Sage Mode.
Okay.
That's one of my favorites. I have the different variations of him from either Walmart, Hot Topic, or thereof. So I kept a few of the anime ones that I liked, and then one of my other major loves, Doctor Who.
Oh, cool.
So it's 10th Doctor, but the one where he's carrying his hand in the
Ooh.
thing. And then because Wally is one of my channel mascots, I randomly found the Wally Pop, and then
Awesome.
Aw.
and then that one's all nice and sealed up. I picked that up at a convention. Um, and then because I had Doctor Who, you can't have a Doctor Who collection without a TARDIS.
Oh yeah.
So originally, I started to review these, and I was going to do every Doctor Who one with actually have the TARDIS coming in and out, and then the new figure inside it every time. Um, but that's where I kind of stopped reviewing them. So I was like, it's not worth the effort. I'll just keep them. Um, oh, and then every year for Halloween, I have the Charlie Brown Halloween pops that we put out. So Ghost Charlie Brown, um, Snoopy. I forgot the other two. The only one I'm missing is Witch,
Oh
Lucy.
yeah.
Aw.
That's the only one I'm missing, and that's like, so like I said, I keep some select ones just because they're cool.
I remember seeing those at Walgreens all the time.
Yes.
The Peanuts ones. I remember I'd go in there all the time. They were always there. I didn't know if they were popular or not. I'm not a Peanuts fan personally, so I never
Mhm.
picked them up. But I have a feeling like, are the Peanuts ones? Are they like up there now? I mean, that's been a couple years since I've seen
Some
them.
are.
Yeah, I've had these like 3 years.
So you got out of Funko Pops. Were you already into the Transformers and all the other things that you were into before, or like how did what happened like behind you and in front of you? How does that happen? That's a lot of shit that you have there. A lot of good shit, by the way. I don't mean
Yes.
shit.
No, I understand. This was a hobby I already had, and like I was into different things. Like it's like to say that beer is a hobby is a thing, craft beer and things like that. So that was my hobby before with my ex, and then when we split up, that kind of trailed off, and I needed a new hobby. And I found out these. I was already a fan of Gundam in general, but I didn't know that the model kits were really a thing. So that turned into my new spare time thing. And then I found myself with a lot more spare time and, fell back assward into a YouTube thing. So started reviewing all these along with other fun, nerdy stuff that I like, Transformers, action figures, artwork, stuff like that. Excuse me. Even oh yeah, you guys couldn't see my Marvel Legends and Black Series shelves down here at the bottom. And thanks to Unboxing Art, who got me into a bunch of other stuff. Shout out to Art, by the way. I don't know if he's gonna be
He's
watching.
an awesome guy, yeah.
He got me into a lot of other things, especially through our group Plastic Cannibals on Facebook. Just learning about all the new other things outside of my realm of robots, so to speak. But Transformers were always part of my life, like since I was a kid, and then they just keep getting better and better. And then same thing with Power Rangers. Loved them since I was a kid. So this happened because of YouTube and boredom.
Yeah, my way of getting into all this, I love toys growing up, just like every other kid, but I love toys into like my teenagers and like early 20s. And I thought
Into
I was
your teenagers.
teenage years. I meant
Okay.
teenage years
Yeah.
and
That was
early
weird.
20s. And I felt really weird about it. And I used to read like magazines that were like toy inspired or toy oriented. And I thought I was like a weird person for liking all that stuff. And then, like, how would I have been? Like, I guess in my early 30s, I came across Funko Pops, and I was talking to a friend of mine about what to collect because he was collecting, believe it or not, Transformers, like a lot of them.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I was thinking about getting into that, but then I also thought I want something that doesn't really take time. Like you don't have to transform it. You can kind of just put it on a shelf. And Funko Pop just seemed perfect for me. And I got into it
Yeah.
about 2015, and now it's grown into like I don't know 1,200 plus Funko Pops. It's gotten that like completely out of control.
Mhm.
But it's a love that I've had since I was a little kid, and I think that's what keeps me going on even today. Beyond the YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff, I just love toys. I love pop culture stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and just going through your videos and your Instagram and stuff like that, seeing the varied things that you guys have picked up and stuff like that, your different uh likes and loves, and then the different aesthetic choices and stuff like that. Actually, I was just watching the Nessie video before we
Oh,
got
yeah.
on the call. Yeah, seriously, why did they do it glow in the dark?
Thank
Like-
you.
Okay, first of all, let me say this. So obviously, as a new fan of y'all's, Heather's my favorite.
Well, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Of course.
I mean, like, yeah, she has to be your foil. It's the best thing. Really reminds me
Absolutely.
of my wife, always calling me on my shit.
pretty much.
I'm surprised you like me since you get it every single day.
Well, it's fine because you're not doing it to me.
Oh, I see.
It's
so
funnier when he watches somebody else going through that shit.
you like it because
Exactly.
you know you're not alone. Gotcha.
Exactly. It's always good. And what's great is I got my wife into nerdy stuff. She was on the very cusp of anything when we got together, and her name is the same as a particular Marvel superhero. So I got her. That was my way in. So I got her into that particular series, and then from there branched out into the movies. And
okay,
then one of the
who is she?
well, for anonymity's sake, I won't say out loud.
Oh,
I'll tell you later. I'll tell
Okay.
you later.
okay.
But it should be easy enough to figure out. I just don't like to. I try to keep our actual identities secret because we've had some weirdos.
Ew.
But one of my favorite things that she's ever said to me in the first year we were together, she said, "Baby, can we go to bed and watch The Flash?" I was just like, now I know we're meant to be together because she fell in love with The Flash.
You said, we're not going to watch any movies because that's the hottest thing you've ever said. We're going to go do something else.
Exactly.
I
So
know
where,
all about it.
where did you mentioned weirdos? So weirdos coming from like your channel, like the channel stuff?
Yeah, the channel stuff, and then every now and then social media, but
Really?
nothing crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah, given this particular hobby and community, there's one or two that are infamous, so to speak. And if they can get your info one way or the other, they will start contacting you or sending you stuff unannounced or unprovoked, because it has happened before. Not to me, but to other people. But I've kept my distance for that reason. I've tried to keep some of my anonymity. Obviously, on Facebook, through different groups and stuff like that, you can only post as you, not as your page. So, people, it's not that hard to find out who I am. But, for her, she doesn't like to really get in the limelight, or on video or anything like that. So,
Sure.
I try to keep her stuff a little more secret than my own. But
So what
That
does
makes
she?
sense.
Does she collect anything specific like you?
not in the same vein.
Okay.
But she's not as creative as I am, and also getting into nerd stuff originally is a different story. But her hobby kind of collection is puzzles.
Oh,
So
cool.
we've got several dozen puzzles that are done and framed up around the place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she likes that. She likes assembling stuff. And then I got her into. She actually has built a couple of the model kits. She has her own shelf over here because she saw it as a 3-dimensional puzzle.
Oh yeah.
So
That's
to
cool.
her, it was a little fun. But hobbies and collecting, it's not necessarily her bag, but she'll get into stuff sometimes. Like she doesn't have any figures, but as it goes, purses were her main collection. Luckily, she didn't have to buy them. They were given to her by a coworker who just kept spending money on HSN and stuff like that. So she just gets a side collection going. It was really funny. So, but yeah, no, she doesn't have a major collection. It's
So,
like I'm her collection.
so what things do you go after nowadays? Like, what is your main collection? Is your Transformers? It looks like, yeah, you said Gundam as well, right? So what's
Yeah,
like your main?
this
What's your main thing?
I think right now my main focus would be Transformers, just because there's so much popping up now, whether they're Hasbro or third party or stuff like that. In fact, I have a very beautiful example right here,
Awesome.
if
Yeah,
you
sure.
don't
Let's see
mind.
it. Yeah, of course.
So
Oh yeah.
this is a very expensive and amazing figure. Does not transform, but it does do some other cool stuff here. Let me push the right button.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, so he lights up.
Wow.
So how much does
And
that retail for?
this with shipping. Well, actually, shipping was free. This guy, along with all his accessories, the base stand, and all the other stuff, because he comes with just an infinite amount of stuff, was about $450.
What? Four hundred
Wow.
fifty
But
dollars? No kidding.
die cast, like mostly die cast, painted to the nines, super articulated, and it comes from a particular brand called Flame Toys. They're a fairly new brand, but they make high-end versions of Transformers, like very high-end.
That's awesome.
Uh, so you guys have some 6 scale figures,
We
right?
do.
Hot Toys, things like
Yeah.
that. Same concept, but Transformers.
Interesting.
Uh, yeah,
So Flame Toys.
yes, Flame Toys.
So
They have
what?
model kits as well, which I've got those up there. There's different renditions and designs of different characters, stuff like that. But in the last couple years, because so many good other series are coming out for Transformers, whatever company's making it, that's when I really started collecting them. They were kind of side, like just I'll grab one here or there. Now it's like, okay, I've got lines, I've got I've
Right.
got a whole wave or whatnot. I'm getting out of Marvel Legends just because there's nothing really I'm chasing there. It's more like, oh, this one's good, and then grab that one. Black Series is getting so much better,
Yes,
um,
it
and they're
is.
giving us a lot of the prequel stuff now. So I just got Archive Anakin. I've already got the Mandalorian. I want that Count Dooku that's recently come out.
What do you think
So
about the archive figures?
Archive figures are nice. I like that they give you a chance to buy stuff that came out way before, um, and maybe have some tweaks like new head sculpts or new paint apps or something like that. Like I think I need to get Yoda because I have the Ghost Yoda, the Walgreens one.
Sure.
So I need a living Yoda, so to speak, because we're getting the Empire versions of Luke, so we need a Yoda from that movie. In case I really want them to do a Dagobah Luke and Yoda, like
Oh,
actually
that'd be
have them on
cool.
the backpack and whatnot.
Yes.
I want the training set. I I bet they'll do it within a year or so. Um,
So
but
so archives is literally them pulling out old molds, like body molds, and adding head
everything.
sculpts. Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
yeah. So let's see the Luke that came out not long ago, the X-wing pilot Luke. Um, let's see, they got Yoda, they got Anakin, that Luke. But the funny thing is, there a couple of stormtroopers or what is it? The speeder troopers. Um,
Oh, Scout Trooper.
Scout Trooper, that one. Those are like early Black Series. I mean, Black Series hasn't been around that long, but they stopped making those several years ago. So they're like, okay, how do we bring them back and make people want them, but not put them in the same packaging as they did before? So
Right.
Archive Series. But they have done some minor tweaks to some things using newer technology to redo the faces, like Darth Maul. Oh, that's the other one I got was Darth Maul. He got a new head sculpt and stuff like that with the new digital printing
Cool.
and face tech. So that actually made it look a little bit better. So so I got the chat up too. It's like I'm watching the chat as well. Um, so yeah, that's what I liked about the Archive series is that they're giving you that ability. And I need a regular R2. I have like 3 different C3POs. I have no R2s, and he was released so long ago in that scale that like I'm waiting.
Interesting. So, how
Yeah.
long ago did they release R2? Because you figured they would release that character 100 times over.
Yeah, I think they did him back in the first or second waves. Like,
Okay.
but he's also smaller. So the problem they have with doing the small figures is it's not great for cost. So like Yoda costs the same as a full size figure, but he's
Right.
only that big.
Right.
So you got to make when people want it. So I guess they flood us with C-3POs for the last 3 years, and they give us no new R2s, at least in that size. The 3 3/4 and the other Power of the Force line, stuff like that. We got
Right.
some, but I think they've got a like dirty like Dagobah R2 coming. Like he's been in the swamp. I
Oh,
think
that's
that's
awesome.
coming. So I do want that. I just so it's like now I got to get that Archive Yoda. I know there's one at my GameStop right here that just peg warming at this point. So
Yeah.
I think that's my most active like actual like figure line that I'm chasing. That's not Transformers. The Dragon Ball stuff I'm nitpicking at this point because at this point they're just repeating the same characters with different color hair.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're doing what the series did. Hey, you like Goku? Now he has blue hair.
So it's interesting. I think the Black Series stuff is only getting better because, well, one, they're doing a lot of the older stuff, but also because Mandalorian was such a hit. I remember there for a while when Star Wars was a dime a dozen and nobody gave a shit about it. And it sat on the shelf, nobody wanted to purchase it. But as soon as Mandalorian came around, everybody seemed to be very excited about Star Wars again. Episode 9 didn't even do what Mandalorian did. I mean, Episode 9 was sort of a train wreck. Is that kind of fueling? Like, does that fuel your collecting of Star Wars? Did the Mandalorian help that?
The Mandalorian didn't help it because I already had a good, healthy collection prior to that, but it makes me want the Mandalorian figures, which sucks because they haven't sent out any more runs of that wave yet.
Right.
Like the first, like everybody piled on to get it on that first release day to get that white box, which I did. It's like,
Right.
I did get the white one, but I didn't get the cool one. I didn't get the graphite or carbon.
Or carbonized graphite, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I did get the Inquisitor sister. I got her in the carbon.
That's a cool figure.
That is and I got that one because she looks cooler with that extra finish.
Yes.
But see, like they didn't make enough. I guess they took the gamble, so to speak, and they just didn't overproduce. So now, with the exception, I think of maybe one figure from that line, and I don't even think it's Mandalorian specific. They're gone. Like you just can't find them anywhere. Maybe a dollar store or somewhere random. But normal shelves, you can't find anything. But you're still finding stuff from Solo. You're still finding stuff from Episode 8. If there was anything good from Episode 9, you're finding that.
I'm surprised the Solo stuff didn't just go to the garbage. Nobody wanted that. Nobody.
You know what? I got the Solo Chewie, and I love it. I love the bandolier. I love the goggles. I like the shotgun.
That's a cool character, but like the Han Solo, nobody gave a shit about. Maybe Lando was okay. I don't know. He was alright.
Yeah, the Lando one's not bad. I mean, like I collect the droids as well because they don't really have to deal with a face sculpt. It's a droid.
Right.
So like I didn't get an L3, but I wanted one. I've actually never seen one in person. That's just how little they were put out. But I think the Kira figures are okay, but they only did like 2 versions of her, and I think she has at least 3 or 4 outfits in that movie. And then they put out characters that nobody really cared about, and then nobody seemed to like that movie. I love that movie, but other people didn't. But with the Mandalorian, it definitely rekindled a lot of things, especially because you give a cool looking character, you also give reason to care. I'm
Right.
amazed that what was her name? Gina Carano's character.
Cara Dune?
Yeah, Cara Dune, that's right. Like, can't find her anywhere. Like, I thought maybe that would sit on the shelf, but people are a fan of hers outside of this, and since she was good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they waited until now to give us all the child or the asset.
Right.
But that was on Favreau though, because he was smart. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah,
what happened with that.
where he hit it. It was a great idea because
yeah.
when that I mean it's a great idea as far as like storytelling and blowing people's minds, but was it a great idea in terms of selling merchandise? Because I think if they had a bunch of Baby Yoda things available like the day that Baby Yoda was revealed, I'm sure they would have made a lot of money. However, even though they didn't do that, I'm sure they still will make a lot of money, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna go get at least one. At least one for the Black Series one to go with Mando. But
Are they
now
releasing
because
it with the little like hover pod thing, the Black
yeah,
Series figure? Okay, I was gonna say because you mentioned Yoda earlier. Well, the child is a lot smaller than Yoda. I mean, can you imagine
yeah.
what that figure is gonna look like inside the box? Like nothing's gonna be in there.
But the thing is with that, they're doing it the same way they did the Porgs. The Porg 2-pack was only like $5. He's only $10 even for the Black Series because they recognize he's smaller and there's not much to go with it, so they only made it $10.
Oh, so they're making the price point lower.
Yeah, so they actually, for that case, they're like, I mean, otherwise they would have had to given us more accessory to go with him. Stuff like that is like, was he gonna have a frog, or
Right.
a swap out head with the frog hanging out of his mouth? Which I'm down for.
I'm totally down for
that. But I don't know if he's going to be specifically like in the carriage or come with it and you can put him in it, because I know people want the walkabout version because he's so damn cute.
Yes.
But like the animatronic one, you're not going to be able to find that on shelves anywhere. People are going to clear those out.
I know. And I have one already pre-ordered on Amazon. I pre-ordered the day that it came out. The same with the Hot Toy, but the Hot Toy, it seems like they wait for a roster of like how many people are going to actually pre-order.
Yeah,
and then they close out, and then you can make it like a watch list like down the road. So I pre-ordered the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda because I think it was this past week or the week before, and I set up my my auto pay or whatever. I'm like so excited about that.
That is a fantastic looking two-pack, so to speak.
Really, really is.
I think everybody just wants to set up the diorama of that first moment where he's like reaching down and the kid's reaching up. Everybody wants to set that up in their case because it's just. But then you need an IG-11 with a hole in him off to the side.
Yeah, that
like
IG-11
in the background.
That IG-11 figure is actually really cool. The Hot Toys IG-11.
Oh yeah.
It was tough because when they first revealed the Mandalorian Hot Toy, the one without the Beskar armor, I almost went for it, but I decided to wait for the Beskar armor version. And I'm glad I did because it's Beskar armor and Baby Yoda. You get it all in one little fancy package. But I really do like the armor, the original armor on Mandalorian. He just looks really cool. I like the discolored look to him.
Yeah, the patchwork look.
Yeah, I really like that look. And I thought in the show they went way too quick with changing him. I wish it was like sort of maybe towards the end.
Yeah, episode 3, he gets the first shoulder pad after he gets back.
Yeah,
and it's just like, come on, like it's like give us a little bit of time, or wait till the end and upgrade him. But obviously the battles went harder and harder as it went. But then they didn't give us a figure of that. Like, I guess they will. It's maybe late this year where he's got the full Beskar, and maybe an actual Pedro Pascal head sculpt. That would be great. Like a removable,
that would be cool.
Swappable head.
Absolutely.
But I want Moff Gideon. I want a Moff Gideon figure.
I was just talking to my friends about that the other day. That would be so cool. And then pack him with the sword. I think that would be kind of cool. Maybe have like a part of, like his like stand would include part of like the TIE fighter, like the top of the TIE fighter. That would be kind of cool too. I really hope we get a figure for him.
Yeah, there'll be a hot toy for him for sure.
I really hope we get one.
Yeah, and then you could take his head off and just put it on some random guy, and then you get Gus from Breaking Bad.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That guy is like he is the perfect villain character.
Yes, it's amazing. He's so good because he can be like he's basically Space Gus in The Mandalorian is really what he is.
He really
he's like
is.
the same figure.
Right. I hope he
so
starts dealing drugs.
Slinging spice.
Yes, there you go. Slinging spice.
There you go.
Yeah.
Down the line. But he's got like a Walter White character in the back cooking for him.
Exactly, yeah.
That would be even funnier. Now, a figure I would love to get, and they'll never give it to us. Bill Burr's character.
Yeah, with the cannon on his arm? Or on his back?
With like the Predator gun coming off his back, basically. Yeah. They'll never give it to us, but I would totally buy that because I'm a huge Bill Burr fan.
So you just want it not even for that character, but just because it's Bill Burr.
He was a great character. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I mean, I would love to have that whole group, like so you could have that like setup, so you can actually have them like going down the hallway to rescue their buddy or whatever.
Well, the red dude was the guy from Highlander.
Yes, that's true.
I
Well,
can't remember who the actor's name now, but he's popular in voice work.
yeah, Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown, yeah,
Yeah.
Clancy Brown.
I mean, he's been around forever.
He has.
Like, yeah.
And the first place I remember him from was Pet Sematary 2.
That's a really random spot to know him from.
I know, but that's what I remember him from, as like the dickhead stepdad.
I remember him from Shawshank Redemption.
Oh yeah, he was
a guard.
He played a dickhead pretty much throughout his entire career, and I think it just
That's
suits him very well. And Kurgan from Highlander.
Yeah, and Mr. Krabs.
Oh, and Mr. Krabs. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he played the same character always, even when it's a big devil-looking guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's so many good things that can come out. Like the technology to make these figures has skyrocketed and it's boomed, and now with Disney able to make a show or a movie that's worth buying the figures for, to have that advertisement, it makes it worth it. But I mean, they knew they had a giant gold mine on their hands with Baby Yoda.
Absolutely. I mean, they created a really cute character, they created a really badass character, and they put them on adventures together. How could you fail at that? But the same, in the same vein, you could also ask, how could you fail at episode 8 and 9? Well, most people would say 8. 8 and 9. 8 and 9. I thought 7 was great, but 8 and 9 weren't the greatest. I did like 9 a little bit, but Mandalorian totally outshined it. And it's just incredible, because I remember seeing the previews for Mandalorian thinking, wow, this is going to be really, really cool. I did not think it would be this much of a game changer the way that it has been.
Yeah, well, neither did they, because they didn't even they didn't even set up for the second season until episode 3 hit.
Wow.
So it's like, so they weren't sure until they started seeing those streaming numbers. Sure. And they're like, how many people signed up in the last day?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but given the world we're in now, currently, streaming has changed. Because now they're having to push things out, movies and stuff like that, to streaming just so people can see them at the moment, and that might change how things go for the rest of the year, because movie releases and TV releases were set up around a certain thing, and they had only started shooting season 2 of Mandalorian, so they might lose some time on that, where it's supposed to come out, I believe, at the end of this year or beginning of next year, and in between, the different Marvel series were supposed to come out as well. So I don't know how that's going to be affected by the current, what happening. Yeah,
the Corona shit. Everything is affected. You're right, and
yeah.
I think Falcon and Winter Soldier. I remember seeing a little snippet from that, where they basically had to cut, and now who knows what's going to happen. It's interesting because in shows like that, they have to kind of keep the same look in order for it to make sense, like on the show.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder how that's all going to play out too, because did they film everything they needed to film? That's one show I'm really excited about. But you're right, this whole virus thing is definitely going to play and weigh in for when it's actually going to be released now, because everything's slowed down.
Now, season 2 of Mandalorian is, people are going to love it, especially with the announcement that Ahsoka Tano is going to be in it.
Oh yeah,
being played by one of the most gorgeous actresses ever. But I will say this: I was actually very excited for the Obi-Wan series.
Yeah, me too, actually. And
so I hope that isn't interrupted.
Same here. I'm excited about that too. But I often wonder what in God's name could possibly happen on Tatooine with him there. Like, what happened? Does he go off planet at some point? Like, what do they come up with? What's the story?
There was a leaked script from when they first were putting it together, like the original stuff, because Ewan McGregor has been signed on to do this for like almost 5 years. They just haven't got it put together in a while. Things keep going up and down, and then finally, once this situation finally got settled with Disney Plus, and they got a good script and they got a good director and stuff, that's when he finally said, "Okay, I'm still here. What do you got?" And I will actually refer to you to another channel if you want to go find out that info, because kind of acquaintance of mine, Bobby Skullface. I don't know, you probably never heard of him, but
That sounds
go find.
familiar, actually. I don't know why, but it does.
He's from your neck of the woods,
Okay.
actually. He's in Maryland.
Interesting.
So go check out him. He does Force Fridays because he's a massive Star Wars nerd. You think what I've got here? No. Go look at his collections. He's got dioramas set up both for his Transformers and his Star Wars stuff. He even bought the sail barge from the Hasbro
yeah.
Pulse sail barge. That's how
Awesome.
much money he's willing.
Yeah.
But he did a whole breakdown of what the Obi-Wan series is supposed to be, based off some comics and novels and other influences and stuff like that. Because there were stories written about Obi-Wan's time in between. Now they're gonna have to make it fit the oddball period of time the movie's set up. It's like,
Right.
oh, it's only supposed to be 16 years. How does he go from looking like Ewan McGregor to Alec Guinness in 16 years?
Right.
Um,
Lots
and
and
he's supposed
lots
to-
of stress.
Yeah, lots of stress. But then again, they also have made a weird connection to how maybe being cut off from the Force kind of can age you a little quicker. Like maybe it's held you young for long enough. Like look at Yoda. So look at the difference between Empire and Jedi. Yoda basically goes from fine to death in less than 3 years.
Right.
So like he basically exhausts all his Force energy, probably catches up to him, and then he passes. So with Obi-Wan, think of the young, strong, powerful in the Force, and then having to kind of cut himself off to keep from being detected probably causes him to age a lot quicker, catching up to his real age, so to speak. But who knows?
That's interesting because I've never read that anywhere, but that sounds like it makes some sort of sense as far as like the movies and the shows and everything are concerned.
Yeah. But I'm glad they went with a series, not a movie. Like I loved Rogue One, but I don't think we're gonna get any more anthology movies out of that.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that film. A lot of people loved it, and I don't hate on anybody who loved it, but I just wasn't a big fan of it. I felt like I went and watched something that I don't know if it really mattered that much to me. Like that story, did it really matter that much to me? And did it really need to be made into a film? Yeah, I think that would have played out better if it were a TV show. And you watch
like Band of Brothers.
Exactly. And you watch the moments as it builds up to that final, we finally have the data that we need kind of thing. Because the characters, you start the movie off with characters that you don't, and by the end of it, you don't really know many of the characters' names anyway. But it would have been nice to have kind of a long form series of these different characters so you get to know them. And that by the end, when they're dying, it matters. Like, you're like, oh shit, I cannot believe he just died. Because you watch Walking Dead, and when you lose a character in Walking Dead, you're like, oh my God, we've been watching Walking Dead, for 3 years, 4 years, however long now. 10 now, so it was 10 years, I guess. But you lose this character, like, oh my God, they've been on the show for 4 or 5 years. Now they're gone. At the end of the movie, I just didn't give a shit. And I remember having to come home and look up some of the characters' names so I knew what the hell I was talking about.
Okay. I mean, I get that. But I think it fit the form really well for the time because at that point they weren't willing to do a show. They weren't willing to do streaming at all or anything. Like they had nowhere to put it. I mean, were they going to throw that up on Freeform?
Yeah.
It's like there's no cable channels. They're not going to throw it up on ABC. Nobody's going to watch a war series about Star Wars.
Right.
Right. But the fact that we finally got to see a Star War happening basically in front of us instead of just a final battle of something, that you get to see the grit, you get to see the people on the ground. That's something different. But I agree, a series would have been fun, but they could only do that now versus then.
Exactly.
And at that point they were in we need a Star Wars movie every year, to the point that we got exhausted on it. We're like, oh God, they're doing another one.
I know.
And then the debacle of Solo really screwed them over. And it wasn't even like how bad the movie did, which it really didn't do that bad. It's how much money it cost versus time. Because Solo cost double what it was supposed to.
Well, it was interesting because the stories that I read, now we're like on a completely other tangent. We're on a Star Wars tangent now, but I'm good with that.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that is that they had the guys from the Lego movies behind it, and they said that it was coming out to be too comedic or too funny. And watching Solo now, which it was okay. Like, I didn't think it was like super horrible or anything. It wasn't my favorite, that's for sure. But it would have been fine. Like, I think it would have been okay being funny. And I would have, now, hindsight, I would have liked to have seen what they were going to come up with. I bet it was better than taking two, what's the word I'm looking for? Two storytellers or two different storytellers kind of being crammed into one final product. Because that's what we ended up getting.
More or less. The main problem they had was they went through 3 or 4 directors until they got to Ron Howard, and once he came along, they literally trashed everything they had done and started over from scratch. That's why it wasn't early. It was actually late, and then that's why it cost double. They literally made the movie twice.
Right.
Of course, some CG stuff, fine, they could do whatever they need to, but having to rewrite and reshoot, and I get it if it's not the same as, say, the DC problem, where we had all the rewrites on Justice League, and then same thing with Suicide Squad, where you could tell, oh, hey, we started with one movie and now we're doing another. At least in my mind, I didn't see it like that, but I mean, I get what you're saying. I think the final a full comedy wouldn't have made sense because there needs to be some seriousness in there, but. It's not like the Lego guys don't know what they're doing.
Well, that's just it. Because like I said, I want to know what. I don't think comedy would have been a bad thing, is what I'm saying. I know that there has to be a like, look at Guardians of the Galaxy, right? So Guardians of the Galaxy was a fun. It was a space opera, I guess you could call it, and then there was some comedy kind of intertwined. I mean, maybe the Lego guys were looking at it that way, and they were going to make a movie that was like sort of like a maybe Guardians of the Galaxy kind of thing. Who knows? I don't know what they were going for, but I feel like it would have been much better than what we ended up getting in the long run.
Yeah, I think the Guardians. I think you're kind of on a right track there. I think it probably had too much of a Guardians feel, and they wanted to distance it because let's put out 2 Disney properties less than 6 months apart that are almost the exact same story.
Exactly.
That totally makes sense. I get that. Now Guardians figures, there's some good stuff there.
I
see that Groot. I see the Groot behind you.
Yeah. Yeah, the big gigantic Groot's back there. I don't think they can see it. He's there. He is. Yeah, the big plushy one from Target.
No, but the Venomized one's right there too.
Oh, can you see that?
Where?
Yeah, there's
Where's
a
the
Venomized one right there. But he can barely see him. But
I can't really see it, but yeah.
Guardians is one of those properties that I just love. When they released that film, I figured at that point we no longer really need Star Wars films anymore because it kind of gave, like, it filled the appetite for the Star Wars kind of franchise, I remember when Episode 7, released, I was so excited for it, and I watched it. I watched it in the theater, and I loved it. And at the end, I was like, oh my God, there are so many cool things that could happen. And here's, I'm visualizing all these different things. And then Episode 8 came out, and it literally crushed all of the dreams that I was having and what it was going to be. And that really turned me off from the Star Wars franchise in general. And I know that's like one of those big qualms that a lot of people have. And they're like, well, stop being a baby. Star Wars could be different, blah, blah, blah. And I get that. I understand that. And I accept newness and change. But to me, it just felt like I was watching a film by a person who did not like Star Wars. That's what it felt like to me.
Okay.
So then... I
accept your opinion.
Right. So then you get Episode 9, and it's, somebody basically trying to pick up the pieces to create what we were hoping to have in the 8th film and then the 9th film together as one. And what you end up getting is, here's our movie. Go and read the comic book. Go and read this book. And there's all these different things you have to do in order to figure out what the fucking movie was trying to tell you.
Yeah, no, then you have to read the novelization or the art book or all that other stuff to find out the behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
It's like, I'm fine with comics doing that. They've done that for a long time. They've done in between comics. Marvel does it too. Even the MCU has their own comic tie-ins. Like there was a Guardians tie-in that happened before the first movie, and then in between. And same thing Star Wars has done to some degree, but not not all the way
And
100% tied in.
that part's okay because it's not required to see it.
But
You're not
you're not
required to see it.
but to know how Rey fixed the lightsaber, or where force healing came from, or to find out the truth behind Palpatine. No spoilers if you don't know, but I'm not going to. I'm doing it just for them. But how Palpatine's alive again? All of that's in the book, but not in the movie.
Right.
I'm just like, but my problem, just to get it out there. Okay, so for me, Episode 8 was fine. I liked that movie. I like
even
that
the
they
casino
took a
scene.
chance. Huh?
Even the casino
I don't
stuff.
care. I don't even care about the Canto Bite stuff. I really don't care. It was meant to be but it was what it was. It was meant to be a distraction from everything else, or you're literally going to just be plodding along with the main story. They had to do something on the side. Was it great? No. Did it serve a purpose? Yes. Too many characters. They got to do something. They can't all sit on the ship and bemoan their circumstance. So they needed somebody to go somewhere. Now, Episode 9 was just making up for all the butthurt fanboys.
Like me.
Yes. Now, I'm not going to get into an argument with you.
No,
today.
don't. You're not at all.
Now, if I have you guys come on my channel, we can have that argument. It's like I will have y'all come on my Nerdcast, and we can have a whole different conversation.
Oh,
But,
I would like for you to argue now. That would be nice.
More viewers. People will come in if
from-
there's a fight happening. No, here's the thing though. I feel like that there was a vision that there was a vision in Episode 7, and I feel like that vision was there were some expectations that we were going to see in 8 and 9, right?
I get you.
And I feel like that if you're going to set a film up if you're going to set up a story, if you're going to set up a story in Episode 7, then it should come to fruition with the other films. Yeah. I think the biggest issue is that Disney, Star Wars, whomever, decided that they were going to have 3 different people make these films, this trilogy. And that just doesn't work. Like, I don't know why they ever thought that was a good idea.
I don't think that was the initial idea, though. I think it came down to JJ not being able to do the second one. Like, I think because JJ was tied into too many things, because he'd just done 2 Star Treks, and then, oh, hey, let's do Star Wars, and then, oh, whatever else he's doing. And then Rian Johnson came in to fill in for JJ, or I think Episode 8 had somebody else on board as well. And, I like Rian Johnson, and his movies are good. And he did put a twist on it, and a lot of people were upset. But yeah, you're right. They didn't have a concise story set up at all. Whereas George Lucas, when he wrote 4, 5, 6, he already had that story beginning to end.
Absolutely.
With the details just needing to be worked out. Episode 1 through 3, he was only on board for 3, if I remember correctly. The other 2 were directed by somebody else. But this case, you're right. It was discordant. They didn't have a singular goal. They just had a story and some characters and no end plot.
Right.
Because they didn't think it was going to get that far. I don't even understand. And then there were too many fake outs in Episode 9, and it was annoying. Like, oh no, this character's dead. Wait, never mind.
Yeah, right. I agree with that too. That was very frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, there were some great things about 9. There were some really good moments in there. I won't even deny that. But as a movie, I liked 8 better. And I look at things as both as a fan and then as a reviewer. Because I can look at it objectively from the outside. Was this good? Was this well done? And that's the difference between me and a lot of other people. I can see it, maybe the first time I'll look at it as a fanboy. And then I'll come back, rewatch it as a reviewer and go, okay, objectively, what's going on here? So I got to be able to separate the two things. Like, and when it comes to certain things like Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, things like that, it's like, okay, was this a good movie? Was it a fun movie? Was it well done? Was it crap that was shiny and pretty?
Right.
It's like, was it a rainbow colored turd? Is that because they can do that? They absolutely can make rainbow colored turds. They do it with toys too.
Right. Well, for me, I have to watch or review a film a couple of times in order to have my final thought on it. There have been a couple of movies that at first I panned completely and I thought they were horrible, and I went back and watched them and I'm like, hey, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, so the way you feel about Episode 8 and 9, I feel about the last 2 Bayverse Transformers movies.
Oh God, well, I'll be honest with you. As a Transformers fan, because I've been a fan when I was a fan of Transformers, I was a kid, and
Yeah.
the 1986 Transformers film like changed my life. It changed my perspective on pretty much everything. In fact,
Yes.
I would say that film and the toys surrounding it is what makes me love toys today. It was
Yes.
such a good movie. It was such a fun movie, and it's a movie that I can literally watch on repeat, and I've done that. Bay decided to release films that were based around humans instead of around Transformers. Transformers, the cartoon in the 1986 film, was a story based around Transformers that incorporated humans. Transformers films by Bay were movies about humans that incorporated Transformers, and I think that was the biggest break. And I think that Bumblebee came out, and as much as I disliked the Transformers that Bay had released, I really happened to like Bumblebee, and I think it's because of the heart that was infused in it. It just seemed like an indie. It seemed like I guess it was sort of an indie film that included a Transformer.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're entirely right about that. That movie was written so much better, and everything about it was better because Bay was just a producer. He didn't write and direct. You know, he also wasn't doing it for his kids and including a character that they liked. That's how we got the terrible versions of the Dinobots.
Oh my God, yeah, that was horrible.
But yeah, to steer a slightly different direction, because I have a question. Because you're a massive pop collector, what? Because Pops incorporates so many fandoms, so many different things. What's missing that you still want that they don't even make a line for?
Well, Heather, do you want to go?
Yeah, I can go. Dexter,
Okay.
the TV show
Okay, thank you. I was like,
about the killer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Wait,
the cartoon show.
I was gonna say,
About that.
how have they not? Is it just because nobody has the rights to it? Because I could easily see him there with his knife and blood slashed across like all the other murder guys, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume it's a licensing sort of issue, but they could do so much. They could do more than just Dexter. I mean, they could do standard Dexter. They could do Dexter when he wears a white suit at one point with like
the goggles and all that when he's on the scene. You could so you could have murder shirt, you could have pink shirt, you could have sawing up somebody with the face mask and all that stuff like that. Sell it with the plastic wrapped room diorama. That'd be fun.
That'd be cool.
That'd be really cool. I mean, like, I love that show, except for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
When, where it should have ended, back with the Trinity Killer is where it should have stopped.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest here.
That last season was it was like they rushed and didn't know what the fuck to do. It was like, we have to end this show, but I don't know how to end it, so we're just going to do the craziest, stupidest shit ever. And none of it's going to make any sense. And Dexter is going to become a lumberjack.
I would have been much happier if he literally died in the hurricane.
Oh my gosh, I would have been thrilled. Okay, well, now they have me.
Hurricane in that show?
Yes.
The very end of it, yeah. The very last.
So I couldn't get into Dexter. I've tried a couple of times.
Sucks.
When's the hurricane happen at the end?
At the very last couple of episodes, and they just F it up so bad. I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, even though I don't really consider it spoiler.
8 years ago. No, not even 8 years. It's only not even 6 years that it ended.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great show for the first 4 seasons, 5 seasons.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah, because it went 7. They pushed it too long. That's what it was.
Yeah.
As soon as that one character died, it should have been over. That was their ending point. It's almost like what happened to Scrubs. Scrubs was great. It ended, and then ABC picked it up and put it out for another final train wreck season. It had nothing to do with what came before.
That's awful.
It's one of those things where a show's popularity sometimes I guess the studios think, oh, we can make an extra couple of dollars, even though if it'll ruin the entire show. Because I think the same with The Office. The Office was one of my favorite shows, and when Michael Scott leaves, I consider that as the end of the show, because when they continued on with it, the show just wasn't as great. I mean, I loved all the characters, but it was like all the characters as one with Michael included was like the show. Once he wasn't included anymore, it just wasn't the show. And the same goes for the Connors, which was Roseanne originally. Roseanne's one of my favorite shows
Don't
ever.
even get me started on the Connors.
One of my favorite shows. And I still watch the Connors because I like John Goodman, so I'm willing to watch it. But it's just not the same. There's, Roseanne is the title character. She should still be there. So when they think they can continue to go on, they really shouldn't. Like, they can, but they should not do it. And
no, that show should have ended, but they didn't want it.
No.
They just wanted the problem to go away, and that was it.
They're making the money,
Or she should have just apologized, and that'd be the end of it.
She tried.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no.
She wasn't
happening.
She wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
You know this? You know this?
No, I didn't know that.
No, they made her sign an NDA before she said she went to the execs and said, "Look, let me go on all the talk shows. Let me explain what happened." Because it was a bad combination of Ambien and alcohol. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, she even says this. If you watch the Joe Rogan interview, she's fairly lucid, unlike the next time she's on Joe Rogan, where she's totally whacked out. She does have problems. Let's just be honest. She does have mental health issues. That's why she grows pot in Hawaii.
Right. Right. Exactly.
That's why she has a pot farm in Hawaii. But she was not allowed to ever voice her side ever. She could have gone on every daytime talk show, Ellen, The View. Well, maybe not The View. They probably hate her. Especially considering one of her co-stars that booted her out was on that show.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, she was never allowed to speak her piece.
No,
ever.
it wasn't. She wasn't on The View. She was on The Talk. The girl.
The Talk.
Yeah, The Talk.
No, she was on The View.
She was on The Talk,
right?
I thought. With
I don't know. Don't ask me.
Ozzy Osbourne's wife.
Sharon.
That was The View. That's The View.
I think that was The Talk, wasn't it? I'm confusing the both.
You're getting
both
a
exactly
but
the
there's
same
some.
show.
They're the same show, but either way. But she could have been on there because basically it was a bad combination. She started a thought, so that terrible tweet she put out, she meant to finish the thought when she woke up in the morning. Unfortunately, all the damage was done before she put it out.
There's an atom bomb.
It's like, and then when she tried to do some rough explanation, she's like, I didn't even know she was black. Whatever, And just literally, it's like, I didn't know that. That wasn't even my thought, because she had a very elaborate thought with the whole Planet of the Apes thing. And yeah, she was kind of talking about her appearance, but not her race, because she didn't know. It's like, but the obvious problem is there, but she was never allowed to talk. And now she's just out there. I think she has a podcast. I could be wrong. She's supposed to be set up to get one, but I don't know how many people would have trusted her to just be free speaking to the world.
Zach Bonifer said, I thought it
peanut
was a peanut farm.
Yeah, I just saw that.
It wasn't a peanut farm. She did have a farm. There was a TV show.
I think she's a pineapple. I think she has a pineapple farm.
It was Roseanne Goes Nuts. It was the nut that they grow there. Macadamia nuts.
Yes, macadamia farm. You're right. You're right.
Macadamia farm.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
That was, Roseanne kind of went out of show business, moved to Hawaii, and started a life there, got married to a young guy. It was like a whole thing. And then they had a reality show. And what ends up happening is, it's a weird kind of thing. The girl that heads the show now, I can't remember her name, the one that plays Darlene, she ends up doing a skit with John Goodman on The View or The Talk, whatever one she was on. She ends up doing a skit on there, and it was like a Roseanne skit, which then develops the idea to bring the show back.
Oh,
and once they bring the show back, Roseanne, of course, was the front runner, because it's Roseanne again.
Yeah.
But it was Darlene, the actress that plays Darlene's idea. And then when everything happens with Roseanne, then the Darlene actress ends up taking over all of it, because it was her idea to begin with. That's why Connors is still a thing.
That's why it's the Connors,
Right.
And she was the other main character. Realistically, is stuff was happening around Roseanne, but to Darlene and her family, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked the premise of the show when it came back. I really did. I just, after she was booted out and dismissed so crappily, I'm just it's
Sarah Gilbert, The Talk.
Sarah Gilbert.
Yep.
Okay. That's right. I can never remember her name. I can see her face, and she can remember. But yeah, no, I felt that happens. The same thing. You were talking about the Michael Scott. I saw the comments there. I liked the opposite, but at that point, I guess he needed to go off and do his own thing, and it was basically the Pam and Jim show, which I'm not against. Right. I'm not against that. I love the way the show ended. I really do. Um, but yeah, it's hard when a character leaves like that. Speaking of
Yeah.
which, have you guys seen the new Office figures that are out? I don't know
Yeah.
if are they put out by Funko or is it somebody
So
else?
that's a different company that's making the action figures. They
Hmm.
of course they. So it's funny that the fans ask for Funko Pops from The Office, for
Yep.
a couple years, and when they finally do it, they end up releasing a ridiculous amount of Office Funko Pops. So now we're like flooded with Office Funko Pops. But what you're talking about is an action figure created by, I can't remember the company's name, but they do like Michael Scott, they do a Pam, they do a Dwight. And they're
Dwight,
not
yep.
that great of figures because I almost
No.
bought a Michael Scott one. It just doesn't look good at all.
No, they didn't try.
No, not at all.
It looks like a comic book version of them.
I don't even. Yeah, I mean, I guess the faces just look like shit. In fact, I took a couple of pictures of them and I sent them. Was it to you? It might have been to Morgan.
don't
We
know.
have a friend that's really into the show. I might have sent it to him, but I just couldn't get over the fact that they were willing to put out figures that look that bad. I mean, they just look so horrible.
Yeah.
The Funko Pops, on the other hand, look fantastic. They did a great job. But, it's funny. Funko, and I'm going to eventually make a video about this. Funko went from when we started collecting in 2015, 2016. It's been a downward slope ever since. And I say that because they make way too much. It's an oversaturated market. The Funko Pop collection of The Office is a prime example because they could have released like 6 different characters, right? And then that could have been like this year. And then at different cons, they could release various different versions of the character, like variants of the characters, and then maybe do specialty series every once in a while. But instead, they just made a huge amount of characters. Then they made specialty series. They made chases. They made versions that are released at cons. It's just like an abundance of the Office Funko Pop, which I think could possibly turn some collectors off. Like,
Yeah.
how is the expectation that we can run out and buy? I don't know. For Infinity War, they dropped maybe 30 Funko Pops. I mean, that's a lot of friggin' money if you think about it.
Yeah.
At $10 a piece. I mean, it's ridiculous.
$10 a pop.
That's right, $10 a pop. But it gets very
Hey, I
expensive
get it.
because Funko Pops have they're like sort of like I always call them like the entry drug, so to speak.
Yes.
The gateway drug.
Gateway.
Chris.
They kind of get you into buying toys and stuff if you ever get into that.
Yeah.
And at $10 a piece, but you're dropping a collection that's 30 or 40 pops at right out the gate. I don't know if that's such a great idea.
Buy
but
a
I don't
Hot
know.
Toys.
Yeah.
But-
You could for the money you put in that one thing, you buy two Hot Toy
Exactly,
figures.
but here's the thing though, as a collector, and you want to have stuff to show on like a YouTube channel, as an example, you can go out and buy a Hot Toy as a regular average Joe. You can go out and buy a Hot Toy for $300 and some. For that same amount of money, you can go buy a bunch of Funko Pops that you can review and out of box and do a bunch of things with. It's a totally different thing. I consider Hot Toys almost like a museum kind of piece, right? I mean, it's expensive. Like he has a $450 Transformer figure sitting there. There aren't many people out there that are able. I'm not saying not wanting to, not able to shell that kind of money out. You're talking about if somebody, average Joe, goes out and buys a figure like that, that might be one of the only things they buy all year. Think about
yeah.
that.
You
like
gotta,
a video
you
game
gotta
system.
love it.
Like
You
a
gotta
video
love
game
it.
system, right? If they released a PlayStation every 2 or 3 months, how in the hell could you keep up with that? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking that like is a big item that I definitely go out and make sure I purchase. But a Hot Toy is one of those things. It's like, oh, that character looks cool. Maybe I'll drop a couple bucks on that. That kind of thing.
Okay.
Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay, you're looking
I
at
feel
me
like
like
she's
I'm
got
not.
an argument. She's got something.
You have an argument? What do you got?
What do you
No,
got?
I don't have an argument. I think buying figures for like solely for the sake of having a YouTube channel, if you're not as into Funko Pops as you are like Hot Toys, I think that's a bit silly.
No, well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's the sole purpose.
You sort of did.
I'm not saying
a
that's
little
the sole,
bit.
I'm not saying that's the sole purpose. But if I'm saying as a YouTuber, as a person who's reviewing
You want to
stuff,
get content out.
You have to. Yeah, there for us.
And you
want to
buy 30-piece collections. I get
right.
it.
Unless you want to review the same 6 Hot Toys that we have over and over and over again. I mean, what
That
else can
could be
you do?
fun. You could make it fun. You could dress them up and make clothes. I could make clothes for them.
As you can tell, Heather's not the one who comes up with the ideas for our channel.
Actually,
I
I
don't know if
come
you
up with
realize
a good amount of ideas. Thank you.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd watch that as a side thing too.
Thank you.
What's that? Just us reviewing the same 6 Hot Toys over and over?
Well, no, the idea of coming up like, okay, so you're stuck with these same figures, so to
Right.
speak. So if you can do other things with the said figures, like if you wanted to make different outfits for them or different
Yes.
costumes, or especially if it's a character that can have that, I'm down. Because I'm the creative type, I'm used to watching people work with what they got, and if they get creative and do stuff with it, I'm down for that. Now, there's also plenty to be said for reviewing every pop or whatever figure or thing you're into. I mean, I've done the same thing. Like, say these Dragon Stars figures up here. A lot of them are the same thing with a new color. So instead of doing like a full-on 15-minute review, I'm just going to do like what I call a out the box. Like literally, I'm going to open it on camera, check it out, tell you what I think about it. Boom, done. Nothing super important, but I still get the views, so to speak, or I get my opinion out there. But the idea of buying something I have a friend who was doing Gundam building and reviewing before me. He was my first YouTube friend, so to speak. He bought a very expensive kit, like a $300 kit, because he thought it would get views, and then got so frustrated with it while building, he never completed it, and then put out a 6-minute review trashing it and not ever completing it. So I was really angry with him at that point. I'm like, dude, just send it to me. It's like, if you're not gonna do it, that's fine. I actually like the thing, but he bought it for the views, and yeah, great. I mean, it's a great point. Don't buy it for the views, especially if you don't care about it. But there's something to be said for the different levels of collecting. You know, if you're buying 30 $10 figures, or you're buying one $300 figure, it's all about your love for it. And as long as you get that across, that's really what matters. Whether that's on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, as long as you're sharing it, like, look at this awesome thing, you know.
Right.
But you're not. But you know, for you, I see your excitement whenever you got your ECC stuff in. That's why I said it's like with the Thanos thing. I've never seen that before. It's really cool. I don't need it, but I like your enthusiasm in having it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the Thanos,
Mad Titan.
Unruly.
Yeah, the Unruly Titan.
Unruly
Yeah.
Industries. Yeah, that's
Industries,
a really cool figure.
That's a very interesting thing that I never seen before.
Yeah.
I don't need to have it, but I'm very glad you do.
Right, exactly.
Because I found you guys, I can see stuff, and I can live vicariously through your joy of the thing.
Exactly.
See,
Right.
I don't need 1,000 Funko Pops on this wall, but I'm not happy that Chris is enthused about them either, because we keep them.
And well, I'm not saying I need,
And they're taking
I
up
mean,
a lot of space.
Well, in no way, shape, or form do we need them, but they were definitely the bread and butter of us putting together a channel, because that's what we started on. Funko Pops was the reason why we started doing this.
Okay, so she and my wife would be good friends. She does not understand this room at all, because she's not a collector of things, so she doesn't get it. She understands that I love them, but she also doesn't understand the need to store and display and stuff like that. So it's the same kind of argument. I totally understand that side of it. I don't agree with it because I'm the one doing it.
Well, here's the thing. Heather did not disclose with you that she has her own room of shit like this.
It is a much smaller room.
It's exactly the same thing.
I have
in a smaller form.
I have a lot less, and on top of it, I'm trying to get rid of a lot of those
She
things.
has a whole room full of It's like the same character. She has all Pennywises. And
because you
believe it or
don't
not,
stop buying them
they
for
They
me.
make like 1,000 of Pennywise. She has all the Pennywises everywhere. I bought you the action figures, not the pops. Let's be clear.
You bought me a Cos Baby. You bought me action figures. You bought me all the NECAs that I own.
I didn't buy you all the NECAs.
Yes, you did.
No, because one came from a friend.
One.
Thank you.
Out of how many?
Thank you. I have spoken.
I have so many of these damn
but she
things.
she does have a ton of you do have a ton of Pennywise.
I do. That's like my one not quite complete collection. I don't have the 10-inch. I don't have the Funhouse one. And I think that might be it.
Yeah. Everyone but those two.
Yes.
Which is a lot. There's a
think.
lot of Pennywise,
But
believe it or
she
not.
could probably pare everything else down and have only the Pennywise, right?
Yes, I tried to sell the kids. Chris wouldn't let me.
Well, because I don't see why you have a full collection.
There's
like,
8
almost a complete
kids.
collection.
8. That's 8 less
But
Funko
you almost
Pop
have a
box
complete
spaces.
collection. Why get rid of if you're gonna get rid of stuff that doesn't make any sense. Like you have stuff in your collection that makes no sense.
Okay, and so do you.
Oh, and I got her the full, almost the full Breaking Bad set. Almost the full Breaking Bad set. That's one that she tries to. You try to get rid of that too.
No, I didn't.
The Breaking Bad
I've
stuff. You're
never
like, I
tried-
don't know if I need these anymore.
I've never tried to get rid of the Breaking Bad set. I would never get rid of the Breaking
She
Bad
almost
set.
did. I watched her.
No, Breaking
did.
Bad and the Pennywises are like 2 of my most treasured collections.
Okay, so I'm gonna play some devil's advocate here.
Okay.
Oh God, no.
No. I'm not picking a side here. I'm just saying because
He's totally picking a side.
He's totally picking
No,
your side.
on-
He's
no, no,
picked
on
your
the top
side.
side.
We can already see that.
No, because I do the same thing where I can have an incomplete collection of something because I only want these things over here. But I've done the exact same thing that you're both saying. Both keep the thing you like and get rid of the rest, or hold on to a certain specific collection because it's complete or almost complete. I've done both, so I completely understand both sides. But I was going to say with the Breaking Bad thing, I had the crystal blue
Heisenberg.
Heisenberg that I'd gotten for free from a friend. Like
Wow.
he just didn't want it.
That's awesome.
But
Wow.
the hat was broken for some reason. I don't know if that was a mold problem. Like the top of the hat was cracked.
Oh.
And somebody said on my review theirs was exactly the same way. And I'm like, wait, did you buy mine? Because I think I sold mine on eBay. And I was like, wait, did you happen to end up with mine? And I checked the numbers, and he's like, no. I was like, wow, so that was an actual mold problem. That's interesting. Yeah, but no, I get that because when we move, I'm gonna have to pare down some stuff. Hopefully, we'll be moving this year, but I have to move all of this, and hopefully we'll be moving into more of a forever home, not just a crappy little apartment. But my biggest problem is all the boxes. So all of those.
Oh yeah, you got a lot of boxes.
Good luck.
Those
Have
are-
fun.
Those are empty. Those are for these. And then I
Yes.
have a closet full, and I have 5 tubs full out there. But I'm only holding on to them for when we move, so that I have a way to transport them safely. Once we're in a place that we're going to stay for hopefully 20 years, something like that, boxes go away. I don't even care. All these mint on card guys, I guess I get it. But, the only action figure boxes I've saved are the ones that have tons of accessories, and I need to make sure I can keep up with that stuff later. But, but some things, like I've sold some stuff. I'm getting rid of some Transformers right now. Like, it was kind of a complete collection, but I just don't want them anymore, or I'm just not that big a fan, and there's better stuff coming. So I'm trying to get rid of those. So parting with the collection because it's, 1, taking up space, or 2, you're just out of love with it, makes sense to me.
Sure. Well, we've gone through a lot of that. We've gone through a lot of growing pains where we've purchased stuff, getting rid of it. Right now, we're going through a lot of our stuff and getting rid of it on Macari. The only thing I refuse to part with is Marvel, and the reason for that is because
that's the biggest part of his collection.
And that's what got me involved in all this was Marvel. I love Marvel stuff, the MCU specifically. So I collect all MCU stuff. So that's something like Heather the other day opened up one. We have these these big tubs that are all sealed up, and she's like, "There's a bunch of characters in here you don't even display. Do you want to get rid of them?" And I was like, "No, you cannot get rid of them. They're mine. I can't get rid of those."
So let me explain this a bit further.
That
here we
usually
go.
means she's on the attack. Go ahead.
So
Can't wait to hear these knee slappers.
Chris
Here, let's just push Chris out. Go ahead.
Yeah. Chris and I decided, by the way, he can't stay silent, so expect me to get interrupted about 10 times.
I know. I've watched.
So we have this space above
What?
our garage. It's like an attic type thing, but it's in it's not. Chris had to physically climb a ladder. he pulled down, I would say, about 8 or 9 ginormous, like, Tupperware type boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, go through these, get rid of all the stuff you don't want, whatever. You know, hopefully we can get rid of a lot of these. I'm like, oh, cool. I opened the first box, all Marvel. I set that aside. I say, this isn't mine to touch. Open the next box. Some of my, like, miscellaneous stuff that I don't have displayed because my room is much smaller than Chris's, and he picked the biggest room of the house because I deserve a smaller room, I guess.
What that has nothing to do with it.
And then, next box, Marvel. Next box, Marvel. Next box, Marvel. And then, so I ended up with about 3 boxes total that were my stuff, and about, I would say, at least 4 to 5 that were his. So I listed so much stuff. It was ridiculous. I listed, I would say, over 50 or 60 items. And Chris came upstairs and I said, here, have a look in these boxes. These are all yours. He looks in. Nope. Not selling anything. Looks in the next one. These are mine. Looks in the next one. These are mine. Looks in the next one. These are mine. And while we made the decision to sell stuff, he said, we have to find things to sell.
Hold on here.
We have so much stuff. We should sell things. And I'm listing all of my stuff and he's listing nothing.
Slow your roll there, hotshot.
Hold on, I lied.
I went through that closet
I
sitting
lied.
right behind you.
He sold some of my things.
I sold a bunch of stuff that was mine. Easy there.
He sold a bunch of my
stuff.
things.
I shipped a lot of your things. I know that.
Yes, you did. Because you offered. Thank you. He likes
did.
to use this against me. He's like, I shipped all of your things this week. And I say,
I did.
Okay,
and
because you offered. What's your point?
Special treatment, God damn it. No, I went through the closet right back here. And I cleaned out a bunch of stuff. There was stuff in there that was mine. That I got rid of.
Not very much. How many items? Like 10?
I don't know.
10.
I listed like 30 items.
8.
I sold like 10 so far.
6.
I've done pretty good, I have you know. I've done
5.
pretty good considering I have a really hard time parting from shit. I really do. There's a lot of stuff.
Hey,
I'll find a reason why I love it.
Hold on, let me tell you something. You have a very easy time buying stuff and a very hard time selling things. So I think those need to be turned a bit.
That's true. Listen, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that I'm also right. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so this entire argument right here. Okay, so my buddy's in the chat there, Rodimus 13 shelf space. We've been redoing his nerd room, and I forced him to open things that he's never opened, throw out packaging he had just been storing, and redo his display shelf so that he could bring out at least some of the 3,000 Transformers he has in storage. and okay, so my other buddy Judd down here says once you get to the point that you're boxing up stuff that you're no longer collecting, so to speak, what he said, you're just hoarding. And as a collector of things, I completely understand that. Boxing it up because you don't have room to put it out anymore, but you're not getting rid of it. You're like, okay, I've got to put new stuff out, or I'm done. Like, this collection's done, so let's put it in the tub and put it in the garage, and then move on to the next collection. But I'm not getting rid of that. I totally get it.
I get it too.
I'm not defending any actions because for me, I'm at the point that I can get rid of some shit if I need to.
He's being very specific. I'm not defending any actions or anything. I don't want to have my head bitten off by Heather.
No, what I get, because I've been dealing with it with one of my best friends, making him do things he doesn't want to do, which obviously, but also he's not parting with anything, but he's realizing that it's those gears in your head, especially it's the acquisition, the thrill of the acquisition that most people get.
Sure.
And then, but what I argued with him, I said, look, you have a closet full of stuff that you don't even know what's in there anymore. You just keep buying more and more. New stuff stays out where it's shiny. Old stuff gets put away, but you're not getting rid of, or you're not at least appreciating the things you have. They're just going there because you can't let go of it. And that does become a problem. That's a huge problem that any collector has, you know? And I completely understand Chris's point of view for that, especially if it's the Marvel stuff, you know, and God knows how many of those there could be, especially for the MCU. I mean, I feel the same way about my Transformers things or some of my Gundam collections where I have to have every one of this series because it's my favorite thing. So I have to have them all. And I can't defend that to the wife by any means. You know, it's like, wait, so she never really gets to see the boxes that I get in occasionally. Like, this looks like a lot, but this is also like 6 or 7 years worth of stuff, you know, taking my time. It's not like it's all happened all at once. And like this guy didn't happen all at once. That was about 3 or 4 months of saving. But I get it. But yeah, it's that same problem of if you're collecting it, cool. But if it's just going into a dark closet for the next 5 years, what are you collecting?
Exactly. And that's kind of I'm with you there. Because I did have back there, I had a full closet full of stuff that we did not need.
No, he has.
No,
he has a lot of stuff.
No, I cleaned it out back there. In fact,
not much.
In fact, if we're gonna get real here for a second, back there is a ton of your stuff. You have all your Bob's Burger guys are in there.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for you to pull them out and take upstairs to me, but you never did.
Are you gonna sell them or?
Yeah, I can sell a lot of them.
Oh, you want to get rid of them?
Not all of them, but a lot of them. A lot of what is in that closet, I could get rid of.
I feel like this is an intervention. Does this feel like an intervention to anybody else?
No, it's not.
Well, no. It's funny though. I've done okay. So when you said okay, go through the stuff, find the stuff you want to get rid of. I did the same thing to my wife, but with her purses.
Oh my
because
God.
There were 20 of them in the closet. None of them getting used. She just used the same old one.
Compared to how many collectible figures that you have?
Exactly, but that was her exact. No, that's her argument to me.
Exactly.
Like, but there's a difference only in the fact that it comes down to that hoarding aspect. It's in the closet. It's not getting used. It's not getting seen, and it's not like for a future date. And also, no monetary, nothing sunk into it. Those were given. They didn't cost anything. Where mine, same thing for you guys. You know, mine cost something, whether that's money, time, everything.
She got free purses. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, from her coworker.
Did you miss the very beginning of this live?
I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around of me having to give away or get rid of Funko Pops. I'm still having a hard time with that.
Oh, I'm not telling you to get rid of them.
No. I'm trying to think in my head because I know that's what Heather is aiming for.
I'm aiming for you condensing things a little bit, like you have said that you were going to do, but you continue to bring Funko Pops into the house. Like behind us,
this is hoarding.
Yeah,
there's a little
this
bit
is
of
an
hoarding.
episode of Hoarders.
There's a little bit of hoarding.
That's a line from Hoarders. That's funny.
Yeah, it's
this is not an intervention, Chris.
There's no dead animals under any boxes or anything.
It's fine. No.
Actually, it's funny that you say that because in the garage where we have stored a lot of our pops, I found a creature that was not alive any longer under some of the containers that we keep. It was a mouse.
No.
Yes.
You're telling me there's a dead mouse under my hoard?
Yes.
No.
Killed by the horde.
Be.
Yes.
Fuck! I turned into a hoarder. What happened?
Okay, it was just one.
It feels like overnight.
Well, that we know of.
Yeah, we haven't
well,
cleaned out completely.
There might be more. I don't know.
There's going to be a whole family of meese out there.
Okay, so actually the funny thing is we discovered that we had rats here because of my collection.
What?
And so no. Hear me out.
Oh, you discovered it because of your...
Discovered it because. So we had heard some noise in the wall, in our bathroom specifically, but never saw anything, couldn't figure it out, and it stopped. And then I come home 2 days later from work, and I see several of these boxes have fallen. There's no reason for the boxes to fall. There's nothing behind them. There's no reason for it. And and they're up almost to the ceiling. The only way they fall is something's climbing them or pushing them out.
Right.
And so that's where I had to go report that we definitely have some stuff. And then when the the maintenance guys came, they discovered the holes that were chewed through our medicine cabinet.
Oh my God.
Oh.
It was a fiberglass medicine cabinet, and they actually ate her Biore strips, of all things.
Weird.
What are Biore strips?
The things that you put on the nose to clean your pores.
Oh, okay.
You pull them off, and there's like these little blackhead spikes. It's really disgusting, but very satisfying.
The new commercial is so disgusting. That's why I was thinking of it, because those commercials are so gross. But so just a question, Chris. If there was something you could part with, what would it be?
nothing in this room because I love it all
Something
because
I-
it's all Marvel.
Something
Like,
I
okay.
could part with.
Yeah.
There's a sideshow. There's a sideshow Ghost Rider over there. I probably could part with as a high dollar item. I probably could part with him because I'm not like totally sold on.
Okay,
That's a
then
good
do
one.
it.
That's a nice figure.
Yeah, it's a cool figure, but
See you
I don't-
later,
he doesn't-
Ghost Rider.
Well, he doesn't really like. If I could have it my way, I wouldn't have gotten that, and I would have waited for the sideshow Red Skull because that's the figure I want right now.
Oh, that was so good.
That's the one I
the
want.
mo-
Like
the movie
above-
one.
No, it's the one
Oh.
released by Sideshow. He's in like green kind of fatigues. It's very comic
Oh
book.
yeah.
Red Skull,
Yeah.
but it's really cool. The face sculpt is really cool. The suit's really cool. He comes with like a cane kind of thing and a gun. He's badass. But if I had it my way, I wouldn't have gotten that. I would have gotten Red Skull instead. But I was stupid.
So how many, or could you get that? How many pops would you have to sell to get that?
To get the, how many pops could I? Let's see.
How many pops could you part with to get that Red Skull and keep your Ghost Rider?
Oh, probably a couple because I have a couple of high dollar pops.
No, what pops? What pops?
What pops would I get rid of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many could you? Because you could get rid of, what, like 30 or 40 commons for like $5 a piece?
Yeah, but see, the thing is that with all the there's an Agent Carter up there I could get rid of.
No, you can't get rid of Agent Carter.
Well, I already have.
Yes,
like,
you
different
can.
Wait, which
variations.
one is it though?
Yes,
which...
you
The one I
can.
have up there is just a common, but I have a couple of
Okay.
other ones. But I mean, I'm just looking around the room. Like, there's like a Peter Parker in the Spider-Man, costume just to unmask. Like, I couldn't get rid of that ever. I have a signed Spider-Man by Stan Lee. Couldn't get rid of that. So there's like a
Obviously.
lot of stuff up
Yeah,
there
that- yeah,
that
no.
I hold very dear to my heart. That's
Of
on
course.
the wall. But there are some things that I definitely could get rid of, for sure. Could I name them right now?
I'm just
Probably
confirming
not.
that there is.
Absolutely.
You're
Okay.
confirming that there is, but he will never do it.
This is an intervention.
Well, if
Me
I
and
live
him
near y'all,
spoke on
I
the
could get him.
phone.
I could get him to do it. I'm very persuasive.
Where do you
If
live?
if,
How far
Texas.
from here? Oh, it's
Very.
pretty far. I'd have.
but if I ever come up to visit Arthur, I'll swing by.
He's gonna
Oh,
come
you're
and
not
clean the
gonna
whole room
swing
out.
by. You're gonna come over. You're gonna stay
D-Lord.
until he gets rid of half of his Funko Pop.
Well, what do you want me to get rid of? Like, what do you want me to get rid of down here right now?
It's
Oh,
not
this
about
thing
what
is-
I want you to get rid of. It's about the fact that like half of this shit, like you're
Well, number one, it's not shit. It's cool shit.
You are 3 rows deep. You never shuffle anything around hardly.
I'm gonna come down
I
and shuffle.
started
I'll
something.
shuffle. Is that what you want? You want me to shuffle? I'll shuffle.
No, I want.
Ooh,
A lot of it
actual
gone.
rotating shelves would be cool.
That would be kind of cool.
Let's not give him any ideas because he will, and then we will end up with even more Funko Pops. Thank you.
So
I thought you
okay,
liked
so
me.
as many as you got, huh?
I thought you
Yeah,
liked
no,
me.
Secretly, he's
I
working
do,
for the
but I'm
enemy.
not on any
i.e.
side. I'm
me.
on my side.
He's working for me right now. You don't know that.
I'm the arms dealer here. I just sell,
The arms
I sell
dealer.
to both sides. That's how you get rich in this industry. You sell to both sides.
That's right.
But no,
smart.
what's funny is okay. So the pop store I basically mentioned earlier. So I'm friends with the owner, and I follow her on Facebook. So she's obsessed with Lego and obsessed with pops. So, and of course, mind you, sells the pops. But her collection, both of cultivated collection of pops that are on display. Like she took what was a corner of a room and is now the entire room, and then the Legos are on top of everything on top of that. So like it's the same deal. Like okay, when they get 3 rows deep and you can't see them on display, what do you do? And that's a legit question. I mean, because it becomes a display versus owning versus storing, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Like knowing you have it but not knowing where it is, or knowing you have it and it's buried behind the newest shinier thing, or obviously the ones you can't get rid of. They're totally on board with there's certain things you can't possibly part with. But I guess at some point I see the value of the thing versus what it means to me. It's like, could it mean more to somebody else versus it taking up space on my shelf?
Right.
Versus taking up space in my garage. Well, I don't have a garage, but believe me, I would have the same problem. It's like, if I had a large storage of it, there are boxes, like no joke, so they spread from here not only to the outdoor storage in tubs, to our bedroom closet. Now the upper shelves, like actually most of my pops that I have are in a tub in up there because I don't have anywhere good to display them and I don't open them. I had some of them open and on display, but I put them back in the box just because it's easier. Somebody made that point earlier. So much easier to dust a closed box than a figure on a shelf.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And of course, I didn't mean to start a fight, but it's kind of funny.
No,
I'm here to poke. I'm here to poke.
Well, and you did.
It's
because
not a
I'm doing the
legitimate
same
fight.
thing with one of my best friends. It's I'm playing devil's advocate, and like I see both points. I get it.
I
But
see
there's
both
also-
points too, but there's also a difference between collecting and being insane.
And being mentally handicapped.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
so there are some things that I need to go through here.
I was about to say something, Chris, look at me. What are the pops replacing in your life? I'm just kidding. Don't actually. I'm doing the hoarding thing.
Oh.
What do they represent? What do they represent for you?
Right.
What's missing from your life?
Trauma.
What is the hole that keeps getting filled with?
I was
pops?
touched
Love.
in kindergarten.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have been there in the first place. You were 30.
Well, that's right. So here's the thing, though. As a kid, I had a lot of toys when I was a kid. I did,
Okay.
and I loved toys when I was a kid. But I remember there were things when I was a kid that there was too much coming out. My parents were hardworking individuals. We didn't make a ton of money when I was younger, but they bought what they could. But there was a lot of things like you showed Devastator. So
Yeah.
Devastator, as an example, was one that, as a kid, like that was Grail territory for me. Right now, things have changed, but now that I can afford shit, like I can afford toys, and I can buy toys. That is one of the big things for me that I can buy. I'm like, I can buy that. I really like it, so I'm buying it.
Okay, so a different question. Well, it's on the same vein. Is part of the reason for purchasing, and I'm totally victim to this too. Is it a hype deal? Or is it it's the new cool thing and I gotta have it, or it's this thing really does mean something and I gotta have it?
So it's funny that you say that. So I will tell you legitimately that sometimes it is hype, and the reason why, again, it goes back to the YouTube stuff, because it's good to have the next best thing to show on a YouTube video.
Yep.
Most of the time, however, when we buy stuff, when we make a video, it's about stuff we want. It isn't about stuff that's like the hot ticket item, which I think also takes away from how many views we've gotten. I mean, we've been at this for 2.5, almost 3 years, right?
Okay.
We were coming up right around the same time as like Jetta Patrol, who is like one of the biggest names in the Funko Pop community nowadays, Hot Toys community. He's huge. So we were coming up right around the same time as him. He has like 40,000 subs, where we have we're almost coming up on
Not
3K,
quite sure, yeah.
right? So we're like nowhere near that, and I think that's part of it, is that we were never like the hype. We were never going after the hype train. Have we done it? To answer your question, we have done that before. That has happened, but only because it was like the hot ticket item, and I'm big into hunting to see if I can actually get it, if I can actually obtain it, and it's an excitement for me. So
I get that.
It's a double-edged sword.
Now, it's funny because that same thing applied when I was collecting beer, because it was hype, like this new awesome thing coming out on this day, and given Texas had super restrictive beer laws that have since very much loosened up, when something was coming out, it was limited. It was hard to find, and you literally would get the truck chasers. They were literally going store to store as soon as they dropped it off and it went on the shelf, snagging their limit and moving on. And the same thing happens with action figures.
Absolutely.
Especially with pops. Now, if you also get those particular people who have an in and they, have somebody setting aside things, or they're picking through boxes, snagging the chases and sending it to them for a price, stuff like that. That happens. That's one reason I got out of pops, because the chase game was ridiculous.
Yeah.
That
has since died, though. The chase stuff isn't quite as popular or big as it used to be.
When it was something that was actually cool and worth it, I got it.
Yes.
I totally understood that. And the funny thing is, the only chase I currently have isn't even a pop. It's actually one of the little 3 3/4 figures, and it's the 11 with the wig and stuff that.
Yeah.
So that's the first one I found. I just randomly on the shelf at Target. I was like, hey. And then two years later, I picked up the rest of the characters because they were on clearance, so I actually have them all in a box. But then I'm at the point like, do I hold on to these? Like I think I put them up for sale on Facebook Marketplace, and nobody bid. I mean, I wasn't even asking a lot, just
trying
not
to get
even
rid
monetary, but just trying to get rid of them because
Yeah.
like I have no wall space left, and I have to get another display case for the statues I just got. So like I'm starting a new collection
Oh no.
of these Bandai statues.
Oh, those are
So
cool.
yeah, and they interlock, and you can mix different ones together. So I just bought 3 of them. But now I need new storage, so now I got to go to IKEA. I got to go make another cabinet run. So at some point, you start collecting the things to display your collection more than you're collecting.
You need to buy stock in IKEA, I think. That's what it
No,
sounds
yeah.
like to me.
Well, I even like the funny thing is I put out how-to videos now. So like how to assemble the cabinets, how to put up the lighting, like when I turn the thing around and stuff like that. Actually, I have a remote control with a dimmer and stuff like that for it. I did how-to videos for all that. So even trying to monetize my other problems, like I got to put up this thing is like, so here's how I'm doing it. So if you want to do it in the future, you can. But the hype thing is it's everywhere. Whatever it is you collect, there's hype around it unless you've got that one niche thing nobody cares about. Like for a while, Arthur and I were both chasing Grocery Gang figures. And like Josh Pence was like forefront of that stuff once he found it, and like he's just jumping on that stuff. And then whereas we're struggling to collect the few ones we want out of that line, and they only went for 3 series and then stopped. So it's like, well, that collection's over. What do you do with it? I actually just bagged mine. The ones I have left are bagged up over there.
I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, hold on. I mean, if you never saw them.
I don't think I've seen them. They might look familiar. By the way, Judson Osgood, I am going to be honest with you. The dopamine rush is awesome. So you're partially right there.
Oh, Judd knows. Judd's a friend. So like these guys, they're basically like a new version of Food Fighters.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Food Fighters.
So I got this little baggie of the ones that I had left. I just bagged them all up because they were sitting on top of my thing, not going anywhere. And I love them, especially because they're so 80s.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned before, as a kid, basically we're the first generation that's really growing up, still wanting the things that we missed when we were kids. So we're like one of the first generations that's chasing the toys of our childhood.
Yes.
And if you missed something and it somehow is available to you, especially now that you have money, you have a real job, you couldn't get it when you were a kid, so you chase it now.
Exactly.
And I think we're the first generation to have that, because prior to that, kids played with toys, but usually they were just there. You got it, and if you didn't, oh well, you moved on to something else because it wasn't a plentiful thing. It wasn't a real market, so to speak.
In the 80s, it was all about marketing and having toys and TV shows and all that stuff, which made that all so popular. Nowadays, Transformers and Thundercats and all that stuff is still a thing, even back in the friggin' 80s. I mean, how long ago was that?
30 years.
30 years ago. Right.
But so Thundercats, I had a couple Thundercats figures when I was young, and now Super 7 is doing their whole new line of Thundercats, and I want them. But I'm like, okay, it's an action figure. I'm going to have to deal with all the stuff. They're really good. But but what I want is just a representation of that character. I don't need the toy aspect. And then there's this, I forgot the name of the studio. I think it's Iron Studios, has statues coming in.
Yes, Iron Studios, yeah.
And they're fantastic.
They are.
I'm like, it's so much more money. But now I'm playing in the statue game, and I'm like, I don't really need the figures. As fun as they are, I want the statues. I want that Lino with the light up eyes on the Cat Slayer head, and it's got Snarf and all that. And then they can all kind of set up around each other. It's a huge investment, but I'm like, that's more worth my time than the $20 figure.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's weird. It's a weird dichotomy, at least in my mind now.
What makes me think too, because Hot Toys, I love Hot Toys. I think they're great. It's nice to pose them and everything. But the more I think about it, I don't really spend a lot of time posing them. If they came, like if it was a figure that came that was like a statue, it was already posed up, then I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
get a quarter scale statue instead.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. More money, but a better idea of the thing you're after.
Right.
And how many pops do you need to get rid of to do that?
Good question. All that and more will
it.
be answered hopefully in the future.
Excellent
So that-
questions.
So that tub of Marvel Pops that was in the garage, the first one, what? Just a guess. What would be monetary value of that? If you were to just sell them, not going crazy,
It depends because
like one tub of Marvel Pops.
so it depends because there are some in there that are higher dollar than others. I mean, I guess if in the grand scale, how many pops you think are in there? Like maybe 30?
30 or 40.
Maybe 30.
Okay.
I would say 30 or so. I mean, maybe 30, and they're all right around like between $15 and $25 a piece.
Yeah, an average of
That's a
call
lot.
it 20.
Yeah.
Call an average of 20. I mean, one, I'm asking out of curiosity because I had that problem when I got rid of my pops. Like I tried selling them individually. I found a couple collectors. I got a couple Supernatural pops, and there was a lady who specifically was after those because she loved the show. So she bought those off of me. Because I had the Dean with the first blade from Hot Topic.
Okay.
But like, because that was a great figure. But like, at the point is, I still had like 40 in a box, and I'm just like, I have nowhere to put them. I can't even put them in my closet. I can't do anything. So I just took them to the comic book store and said, "What do you give me for the whole box?" You know, he's like,
Drop them all
"Well,
at
you want
once.
store credit or cash?" I'm like, "I'll take cash right now. What do you want?" He's like, "I'll give you $100." I was like, "Done. Just get him out." You know, I could have taken the time to find the right person and do with all that stuff because nobody just wanted to buy an eclectic thing like sets. I totally understand. It's like if you have a whole run, you know, whether it's one character or it's one movie set or something like that, easy to sell probably, especially to somebody who's just getting into the game and missed the first go, you know. But with people like yourselves, like how when you're trying to find a pop you don't have, how often is it in a collection versus on its own, you know, and you're trying to pick and choose.
Right. So I've never been I've never tried to finish collections. Like I've never been out to finish collections. It's been
Okay.
more or less I just love certain characters, so I'll buy almost all the different
So
variations of them.
I will buy the whole collection.
Well, I mean that's happened. I mean I'm not going to say it hasn't happened, but it has. But I've never been after completing like a completionist with the collection, like the X-Men. Like I've purchased certain X-Men that. I
Well,
really
you're
like.
not big into the X-Men.
I'm not, but I'm just saying I've only purchased.
But you're picking and choosing.
Picking and choosing.
Okay.
But with the MCU stuff, on the other hand, I love that stuff so much that most of the time, with like Infinity War, I went out and bought like all of them all at one time. Like I really like that particular set. So I went out and bought them all at one time. However, if there might be one or two that had come out for Infinity War after the fact that I did not go out and purchase. So I don't know. I have a reason for purchasing most of the ones that I bought for our collection that we have down here. I could sell off certain characters if I really had to. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
But
Like I'm not being a completionist when it comes to all this stuff.
So you don't. Okay, so it's okay. Yeah, well, see, that's where I figured there's a lot of problems. Is like you get to that last one. Do you
Right.
spend your time trying to hunt that last one, or do you move on and maybe it'll show up sometime? You know.
Well,
And I think that was my problem with Pops. Is like when it came to a show, like okay, I need like I had to stop on my Doctor Who ones because I was like, I'm gonna go too crazy. It's like especially because they started making more. Like okay, there's this 10th Doctor. Now there's this 10th Doctor. Now okay, now we got 11th Doctor. Crap, 12th Doctor just came out. They have this version of a Dalek. They got this version of a Dalek. And then, oh crap, how many different versions of Luke Skywalker do I need now? And I had like 4. And it's like, oh, there's the Ceremony Luke? I gotta have that one. Okay. And then, there's Ceremony Han. I gotta get that one. And it's like, that was my problem. Is like, you gotta have either all of one type of character or you gotta have the set of the thing, in my mind, you know? And it drives me nuts for certain things, especially with like Marvel Legends.
oh, the Marvel Legend figures.
The Marvel Legends is like, okay, so I need all of this run of character, like, or you need all of a Build-A-Figure wave or something like that. God, they've never done a Build-A-Pop.
No, they haven't.
Like,
Now, I was going to say Build-A-Figure definitely adds to going out and buying a full set of characters, especially if it's a Build-A-Figure you really want.
yeah. Yeah, so it's like I'm surprised to some degree that they don't have a Build-A-Pop, especially if it's like chunks of like a 10-inch or something.
Yeah, no kidding.
Um,
Well,
Don't wish that on us.
I gotta say though, when it comes to the Funko Pops, nowadays there aren't many out there that I would go and spend. Like I could not personally go out and spend over $50 for a specific Funko Pop.
Yeah.
Red Skull is one I really want, and he goes for sometimes between $400 and $600. There is no way in hell that I'll ever spend that kind of money on a Funko Pop. I know there are a lot of
No.
people out there who will, and that have, but I personally would not. I would much rather go out and take that money and buy, say, if I had to spend $600, I would just go out and buy 2 Hot Toys, right? Because that's really cool.
Value
Going
for
out
money.
and buying one Red Skull just seems so pointless to me. I love the character, I love the Funko Pop, but it's just not worth it to me personally.
No, yeah, no, that makes no sense to me.
No.
Because at some point, it exceeds the value of the thing, and it just becomes something ridiculous, and I can't stand that.
Right, neither can I.
Especially if it was maybe a hyped thing, like okay, it was a certain release or something like that, like or a purposeful limit release, and then people just go nuts. Like you bought it for $10, but you're going to turn around and sell it to me for $25 the next week, or a year later, I only need $150 for that. 3 years later, I need $400 for that. I'd be like, you know what that is, right? It's like, it's like, it's like no, it's like sorry, that's just not worth it.
Right.
It's just at some point you've lost the idea, and you just want the money, and that's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. Well, there are a lot of these guys that are on these Funko groups,
Oh, yeah.
and all they're doing is flashing their money, and
Yep,
which
yep,
is
yep.
it's fine. People like to do that, and it's trying to flex and all that kind of shit. I've never been
Yeah.
the flexing type. Have I been lucky? Heather and I have been lucky a couple times with Funko Pops and purchasing and hunting. Like I remember one time I hunted down the Grady twins from The Shining, and that was one at the
Oh, wow.
time you could take the chase, and I found it, and you could have taken that, put it on eBay, and sold it for $600 that day. Like it was going that day. But
Wow.
we didn't do that because we just happened to like that set, right? That was like one of our favorite things ever. And that's a story. That's another thing behind Funko Pops and collectibles. It's the story. There are things like my signed Spider-Man by Stan Lee. That, I mean, obviously that's a story, but it was a really cool experience. That's something that obviously I've only been able to do one time in my life, and that's it. But there's a story with it, and I think that's cool. My Guardians of the Galaxy set, the original one for Funko, that one is special to me. That's the very first Funko Pop set that was the very first Funko Pop I'd ever purchased, was the entire set on Amazon. That's what got me started. So sometimes when I'm looking at these things, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I remember you. I remember that time that we had. I'm having a really hard time separating from this thing, and I'll put it back in the box. And that's something after this intervention tonight. Maybe that's something I'll have to break myself.
You got to change the
from a
title
little
now.
bit.
You got to
Yeah.
change the
Well.
title of this.
Intervention with Shoky Reviews.
There you go. Well, I was going to say the story behind it. I totally get that, especially if it was a hard acquisition or something special. But I was going to bring it up. So when you guys went to Morgan's apartment on your honeymoon trip, if you had been able to buy some pops there, like you saw that there were a couple empty Funko boxes there, like people had clearly been selling them at some point, what would that story have been worth to you in the moment? Like if they had a figure there that you could have got, like I bought this in the apartment, what would that have been worth to you?
That a lot, actually, because here we are on a person. I'm talking just for me. I guess Heather can answer too, but I think that we're there. It is in the moment. We're in Morgan's apartment from the friggin' show, for crying out loud. That would be a pretty big deal to me, to buy a Funko Pop and then bring it home, and we have the story. We went to Morgan's apartment and we purchased this particular Funko Pop that we didn't have, right? Because the ones that they had there originally were ones, I think there was a couple we did not get, right?
Oh, I didn't read all the boxes, but I
Yeah.
think we had most of them.
Right. But I mean, I think the story of it, to your point, I think the story of it would be fantastic.
Would you
personally.
spend $50 on a Funko Pop in that apartment, even if it were a common?
Would I spend 50? Would I spend $50
A
on
common that was worth $8.
Probably not, because it's
Thank
just
you.
that
Good.
because to me that doesn't make any
He
sense.
said probably not.
Well,
He
no,
totally would
because
have.
I've
I think
overspent
35.
I've overspent on things.
35.
Maybe I overspent on a Merle Wacky Wobbler. And I overspent on that because we were at the Walking Dead store in Sonoy, Georgia. And it was just cool that it was there. I had never seen it in person.
We've seen it 100
I think
times. You just didn't take note.
I don't remember. But I think I spent $25 on it and it goes for 15 or something, right?
No, you spent I think 17 and it goes for 8 or 9.
Nah, it doesn't go for 8 or 9.
Yes,
too
it does. Yes, it
But
does.
that's not too bad.
No, it wasn't that bad, but I had seen him previously for $5.
But it was cool to say that we bought it there,
and
right?
I asked Chris, I was like, hey, they have that Merle Wacky Wobbler. Now, he'll tell you right now he doesn't remember this, but we totally saw it.
Where? Where did we see it?
At the Pasadena Toy Show.
I don't remember seeing it, I swear to you. Because I would have purchased it, because that's your favorite character. And
No,
that we have
Chris,
everything from him.
I asked you, I specifically asked you, yeah, it's worth $8.
Is it really?
Yes, I told you.
Motherfuck! I cannot believe that. So I spent $17 on it?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, though. It's a great, right?
But you spent $17 on the experience, and that's how they sold it to you.
Right?
No, we would have had the experience whether he bought it or not. We could have walked into that store for free.
True. But what
Very
I'm getting
true.
at is they marked it up because of the experience. That's what I'm saying. It's but if somebody was in Morgan's apartment selling a Morgan or whatever for $23.
Yeah, I spent that.
And you get a picture in the apartment with the thing.
Holy
Yeah.
shit. This is interesting. Joe Delegata, the guy who created that Thanos,
Yeah.
he commented on our video saying, thanks for the kind words on the figure. Glad you like my design.
That's badass.
That's some crazy shit.
I have yet to have a creator or company or whatever say anything on mine. That's one thing I found with certain lines, figures, whatever, collectibles, that sometimes it can get back to the people. Like for me, nobody gives a shit what I do from what I've seen. And I have a collection that not a lot of people know about. They're called beast boxes. They're little transforming things, but they're animals and whatnot. They're robots. They just turn into a 2x2 cube. That's all I do. They're just really cool, but I love them to death, and I share every video I can. I've been hitting up the company, tag them and everything, and I never get a response. Mind you, they're like a Chinese whatever company, but
so what?
Get
on YouTube, damn it.
Get on YouTube, damn it, because there's not a lot of people going over them. But what I love, so it's something I discovered more than a year ago. Then when I see a reviewer that I like that discovers it after me, I'm like, ha. It's I'm glad you like it, but I saw it first. But yeah, no, it's just there's something about this collecting game, and I guess it's whatever you collect. I don't think anybody collects. Well, I'm sure there are people who collect something that's worth nothing, but not to them.
Probably.
Well,
but
aside, also, just a quick note. Aside from the collecting and all the stuff that we have sitting back here, that's one thing. There is a lot of money that's sitting behind us for sure. But had it been for Funko will always hold a special place in my heart, because not only did we start a YouTube channel and everything, which is something Heather and I have enjoyed doing. It's something that brought us together. In my opinion, she'd probably say different. And tonight in this video might look a little different. But it has brought us together, and we've also made a ton of friends out of this. We talked about this a lot, but we have a lot of, I would call them forever friends, because there are some people you come in contact with that are really cool, but you don't really stand up a long-lasting friendship with them. But we have so many friends that we've made in this toy collecting and in this community. It is just unreal. And and I think that's my biggest takeaway from doing all this.
Same,
personally.
But the
here's where she takes it and turns it on a negative spin. Here we go.
Okay.
Ready? Get yourself prepared.
On the other hand, so there are forever friends, and we met them through collecting. They do not collect anymore, and they don't have 1,000+ Funko Pops sitting behind them.
Some don't collect it. Some do.
They don't collect to the extent that they used to. When they do collect.
That's okay. Well, does it matter what they do? I don't care what they do. That's what we do, right?
They have more room in their house, and it's great.
But everyone's different.
Oh, Heather, how much I love you so much.
You know what one of my favorite lines is, and I use this in my actual daily life. I don't even know if it came from a TV show or a movie, but it said, in it was a response from one character to another after saying something fairly important. And the response was, do you know everything said before the word but means nothing?
We both have to keep that in mind because we're saying but a lot.
Yes,
and
that's what, every time you say but, I'm like, what is she going to say? Or he, rather. Because I noticed that when you were saying it earlier in response to his stuff, I'm like, okay, what do we got? It's like, there we go. So everything before that doesn't really mean anything. So I actually have restructured the way I talk to think about that. I was like, and I told this to my wife, so she knows if I say a whole bunch of stuff and then I go, but, she knows that's the stuff that doesn't matter. Everything after that is my real thoughts and opinion. So if you restructure your thing to make sure that your point isn't the one that matters more, but the actual truth of the matter in your statements, just think about where the word but falls.
Well, most of the time I'm talking about how great her butt is, but I get what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense.
Now,
Those
in that
words
case,
do
everything
matter.
before that word but means, hey, baby, you got a nice butt. That's a different story.
Yes.
I usually
Good.
Now,
I was
if you
about to
said,
get really
you got a
upset.
nice butt,
if you use butt twice, there's trouble. I usually say buttocks. Okay, so we've come across, man, we're up at 2 hours. I can't believe this. This might be one of the longest interview series videos we've ever
warn
done.
you guys, when I get involved, everything goes long.
No,
does.
this
I've had interviews on my own channel that went for 4.5 hours.
oh my God. No, this
If I weren't hungry, it probably would, because I really enjoyed this.
I really enjoyed this too.
Mostly
Eating,
because
you're-
I feel like we're getting somewhere with Chris.
I'm having fun because, one, I don't know you guys, so it's fun for me to get to know you guys this way. And I've done it. I love talking with. Funny, did you notice it turned into me interviewing you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it turned around very quickly.
I was like, I do that. Yeah, I've been doing this for a little bit longer than you guys. Like, my channel's only 4 years old, but I love doing interviews with people, and I don't do them enough anymore. I have my Shoky Nerdcast, and I did a one-on-one version, which is like this, which, obviously I can have you guys on, so we can continue this over on my channel.
Absolutely.
On another day, because especially in this stupid situation, the world. Unfortunately, I'm not in lockdown here. But my normal life is essentially no different. So it's like I'm home all day playing with my stuff anyways. So it's like my normal life is no different, except that I do leave the house. If it got to the point where I couldn't leave the house anymore, I'd be like, well, I guess I'm on vacation.
Right.
It's no different then.
Staycation.
I'll turn into a
No,
staycation.
let me tell you something. It does not feel like vacation because technically I chose to stop working during this time, but it's coming. I know that it's going to be mandated probably this week.
Yeah.
For my profession personally, but had I chosen to do this, or if I were sick and couldn't go to work, it would be one thing. But because
being forced.
Yeah, I feel forced. I don't like it.
Yeah, we're scared. I mean, Texas is nowhere near as bad as some of the other states, especially in Northeast, Northwest. We've got a lot of cases creeping up like everywhere else, but it's I think our governor is doing everything possible to keep the lockdown from happening because we're so massive and we're kind of behind the game a little bit, so it's just like, okay, we know what's happening. Actually, we tracked down where a lot of the cases were coming from, so now they can tell people, hey, if you were here on this date, let us know, so we know where a source of infection came from, and that's a big deal here. And we're also really widespread. So there's not like a cluster that's happening. It's like, okay, so we got 10 here that are completely unrelated. And then we've got one here, one here, one here, one here, spread out across a county, And of course, testing happening every day. And it's a mess. We got to get through it. But yeah, I would feel the same way on the mandatory lockdown. But the problem is with my job, there would be no lockdown. I would still have to go to work. My job's essential to functioning. They even said this. They put out a press release. It said we are an essential function of daily life. So even when things go down, unless you're sick, you're gonna be at work. And my job, unfortunately, is not doing a lot to prevent people from getting infected. And we interact with a lot of people, so we got to be careful and we got to plan better and stuff like that. But I get it, especially the Northeast is such a mess up there. Obviously I keep up with unboxing art. We're good friends, and I know way too many people in Maryland now. It's weird. It's like I've got no reason to know a lot of people in Maryland except through YouTube of all things, or just in the Northeast in general. But my friends in Washington, that I've met doing this and through Facebook. I'm worried about them because they're getting pounded over there.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
And my wife has an autoimmune disease, so she cannot get sick. You know, it could go south really fast for her.
That's not good.
But yeah, but guys, like and subscribe. I'm just
So it's pronounced Shoky.
Shoky, yes.
Shoky reviews.
I would have corrected you a long time ago if you got it wrong.
Shoky reviews. Okay.
I feel
Excellent.
like he did.
I
think
think
he
I
said
did.
Shocky.
I said.
I think when you were interviewing Art, I corrected you in the chat.
Okay.
Or actually, Arthur did. Arthur corrected you when you eventually
Okay.
saw my comment. Yeah.
Well,
Most
Chris
people get it wrong.
probably didn't remember.
No, I think
that.
I said Shoky, but it's
maybe.
Shoky.
Shoky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Some
okay.
people say Shooky. One guy I know says it just because he knows it annoys me. So he's like Shooky. like Snooky.
That's something
Snooki.
Chris would do. Chris, if Chris knows something annoys me, that's what he's gonna do for the rest of our life.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
I
get it.
need to
Well, it makes
not
sense,
let
right?
him know that he's pissing me off, so that I don't get pissed off every day.
Yeah, I get it.
It's my favorite thing to do.
But listen, I shared I shared your channel and your Instagram post everywhere I could.
Thank you.
Just because I want to get you guys to 2,000 because I don't know how you don't have more people than I do. Like it's taken me 4 years to get to 5,800 and it doesn't show. But I watched you guys and I'm like, wait, you're only below what? Like that makes no sense. It's like because you act and function like a much more experienced and well viewed channel. And I don't get that.
So
Thank you.
we thank you for that. That means a lot to us. But it's funny because we hear that a lot, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens. I don't know why our videos aren't out there and more popular. I don't know.
It's the market more
yeah.
than anything. But it's like, you know, I like you guys now. Like I'm glad I was exposed to you through unboxing art because it's fun. It's like I like y'all's personalities. I like your production value. It's really nice.
Oh, thank you.
Makes people praise my production value for the longest time. I was like, this is garbage. What are you talking about? It's like, what crap have you been watching that I'm above it? It's like, and then I see you guys, and I'm like, oh, I need to set up multicam. It's like I gotta have multicam reviews now. It's like I gotta up my game a little bit. I was like,
Yeah.
and that's doing what I do.
Multicam was something I got from Red Letter Media. I don't know if you know who they are.
Yeah.
But
I get it. Yeah.
I just love the way that they function, and I like how they're funny and all that. And I figured if we're going to do this, like tonight I'm a little off my game. I don't know why. I haven't been feeling good today. But usually...
Oh, he didn't tell me that.
No.
Boy.
I think I slept on the wrong side of the bed. My back has been killing me all day. But
sorry.
usually we're a little bit... I like it to be
Snappy.
comedic and funny and snappy.
Yeah.
And tonight it's not been like if I don't feel like I've
And-
been that way.
well, we've been attacking you a lot too.
Yeah, that
well,
usually doesn't affect anything because Heather attacks me all day long.
I know that's why she's my favorite.
That's right. No, it's fun. It's fun to watch Heather dog the shit out of me.
It is.
It is. I
But it's
enjoy
all
it.
in
I
love.
enjoy it when I'm editing it. It's my favorite part of the whole thing.
Yeah, you gotta stop and laugh at it.
Absolutely. Well, yeah.
Oh my! He calls me in so many times, and he's like, "Look at this," and
Yeah.
I'll watch, and we just like crack up together.
It's so much
like
fun.
the Loch Ness video. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I was watching it earlier. I didn't finish it before we got started, but I got really far into it. But I was laughing,
the whole time.
especially
I'm just
about the why is it glow in the dark?
yeah. God, I'm so
Which,
annoyed
by
by
the-
that. But
I do want one of those blacklight flashlights.
Oh, they're
Do
nice.
you?
They're really nice.
Send me your
Yeah, I
address,
kinda
please.
want one. Okay.
But I what was I saying? Oh, so the whole video, rewatch it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at my face
Okay.
because I know the whole time.
I do watch your face a lot.
Oh my gosh. So I spend a lot of time. I sort of like Chris will always ask me. He's like, "What's that face for?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You're making a face." I'm like, I'm thinking or I'm listening or whatever." And he's like,
Yeah.
"You look angry."
She
So
does
that,
look
You
angry.
did. You really did.
that whole video, I looked so pissed off. I was
to
just
me, it was because from the get go, it's the why is it glow in the dark?
yeah.
Like to me, it's like probably not what was going through your head. And just like literally stuck on that thought. It's like,
Yep.
it's stupid. Why is it glow in the dark?
This
Why is
stupid
it not
thing.
metallic or shimmery? You know, it's like, why is it glow in the dark? Or clear and watercolored? You know,
Yes.
which why couldn't you find it? It's the same color of the water. I'm gonna get Funko ideas.
I just thought that it was the
It's-
perfect variant for that particular character. But
Yeah,
well,
I guess
but you're
fuck
wrong.
me, right? Because I was the only one who thought that. Everybody else is like, you're an idiot. Why
No,
would you
no,
ever
it's
say that?
cool. It's cool, but it's weird.
Yeah,
it doesn't make
doesn't-
sense why they did that. Not that you bought it. Why they did that makes no sense.
And why you?
Well,
why
no,
you
I was
got
the one
it.
who originally came up with the idea. Do you not remember that?
I'm pretty sure Funko already came up with the idea.
No, I came up with it. It was my idea. That's why I had to have the pot. No, I'm kidding.
I'm gonna
No.
tell everyone it was your idea now.
And everybody's gonna
God.
hate me.
Did
Don't
you see
give
the
me any
glow in
more.
the dark Nessie?
Don't give us
Chris
any
did it.
more reasons why people shouldn't watch us.
You should put that on
Um,
your resume. I
what?
thought up the glow in the dark Loch Ness monster.
Right? Why aren't you
It's
getting
very-
hired? I don't know. Yeah. So
Because I have stupid ideas. That's
no,
why.
I just thought that it made sense based off of his color. That was the only reason.
Yeah,
Because he's
based
a
off of the
green
color, it makes sense,
Yeah,
but
that was the only reason.
it doesn't fucking glow.
All right.
So
You're right.
Not
You
like
know
those
what?
ghosts.
All the pictures of Nessie that we have is just a black thing in the water, right?
exactly, it's not a glowing thing in the water.
Maybe they should have had it glow in the dark and black. Okay.
But why would it be glow in
I
the
don't
dark?
fucking know. I don't know.
Now,
Why
if
does
it
it
was,
look like
now if
Dino?
it was the creatures from Surface, it would make sense because they could glow.
Right.
See?
Nobody's watched that show ever.
No, I
Never.
haven't. But if
It's
they
just
could
me.
glow, it would make sense.
Yes.
Would it really?
Yeah, but the Loch Ness monster? Never seen her
Clear.
glow.
Clear or translucent watercolored paint job. Make the surface of him look like wave reflection.
I like that.
Perfect pop. Let's get that.
Yeah.
Get on it,
I'm just gonna-
Funko.
Yeah.
Or just have somebody repaint it. Like, hey, I know some custom guys.
Excuse
Find an
me.
Etsy. Yeah.
All right, so it's been 2 hours now and 8 minutes. Listen,
Oh, wow.
this has been fantastic. I really, really enjoyed this. Oftentimes we'll have people on, and sometimes it goes into we stare at the screen, they stare at the screen, and we don't have much to say. But I would suggest that this might be the most vocal and active one of these lives have been. It's been a constant barrage of words.
I
and a
think
lot
it
of
might
fun.
be second to
Topics.
Cletus, because
Yeah,
that man
Cletus.
can talk
Yeah,
a lot.
We were on with Cletus for like 3.5 hours, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I like Cletus already.
Yeah, Cletus is
Right.
awesome. But we talked a lot. We
I'll
talked about a
link
lot
you.
of different things. I enjoyed our Star Wars chat, which I did
Mm-hmm.
not think we'd get into, but it was really interesting to hear your views on things.
Yeah, I couldn't
Oh, yeah.
say much because I don't know much.
Yeah, Heather looked at her phone. Yeah, Heather. By the way, Heather was buying shoes at that point. don't know
I
if you guys
wasn't
did that.
buying.
She
I
on
was
DSW.com.
looking. I was
There's
looking. I
different-
can't
She
buy.
was shopping.
She was shopping.
She was shopping.
She was shopping.
That's
Listen,
what I tell my wife. It's like, I'm going to the store because I'm going buying. You go shopping, I go buying.
Yeah, I was looking.
It's like, I know what I'm after when I walk in. I do want to say something, though,
Sure.
because of your point, like needing to talk about something and didn't know we were going to get on Star Wars. So when I have you guys on the Nerdcast, the motto for the Nerdcast is, you may not be a nerd for everything, but everyone is a nerd for something. So you can always find something to talk about as long as you love it.
hey, there you go. Actually, I love
Yeah.
that. That's fantastic, and that's how true. That's so damn true.
Yeah.
But listen, we're I'm going to send you a Ghastly sticker, and a Gasslecast sticker. Ghastly is like
Yay.
our little. He's like our little character. Have you seen him before?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll send you one of these.
I watch.
And I see a bunch of people in the comment section. We're going to send to one of you lucky guys out there. I'm just going to pick a random name who hasn't gotten a sticker before, because a lot of the guys that come here get them. If you're still here, YoJ Collects will send you a sticker. We'll send you a sticker. So I'll reach out to you if you're not here. But if you
Congrats.
are here, contact us on Instagram and send me your address, and we'll send you a sticker. Dude, thank you again for so much for being here and hanging out with us. And I can't wait for us to come on your channel.
Yes, thank you.
Guys, that is
Thank
it. Remember, as always, we are together, yes. We will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye, guys.